Welcome to the A2C Podcast. We're your unfiltered ticket to the world behind high achievers of every kind. No ads here, it's just pure value. So do me a favor and share this if you find some inspiration, motivation, or something else in between. Authentic, no constraints, no limits. Let's go.
What's up, brother?
There he is. How the hell are you, man?
Oh, me, dude. Surviving. Doing what needs to be done.
Surviving, thriving.
I can't complain, to be honest. I'm more blessed than most. And I got to wake up every morning, see my daughter, give her a kiss, take her to school. After that, it's all gravy.
Dude, are you good to just jump in here? We've already got some good combos starting.
Let's do it.
Let's just do it. Dude, how's sunny Southern California right now?
It's crazy, to say the damn least.
Don't give me that shit.
I'm not your typical Californian. You know that. That's one thing. It's just nuts, man. The shit that's been going on here, it's just doesn't make sense, and I just don't understand how people agree with it, just in general. Take, for instance, and I don't like to get political, and I don't like, that's not my stance and shit. I was always taught, don't talk about politics or religion, right? That was the biggest two rules in my household growing up, like outside of the house.
We can talk about anything we want to talk about here. This is a safe space.
Newsom just cleared up San Francisco of every needle on the floor for one of the biggest dictators in this world. Yeah, and they were pretty, and they put, instead of having our flag out there, because it's our country, they fucking go in there waving out the red flags. It makes no sense to me.
Yeah, dude. It's a disgrace in my opinion. And then he turns around and he gave that whole speech. And he's like, if you think we did it just because this dictator's coming to town, you're right. You're right. We did. But yet people keep voting for him. I can't sit here. I don't feel bad for y'all. You keep voting for him.
Look, man, like the honest truth, I'm in California, and I'll be in California as long as my parents don't want to leave California. I'm very family oriented. My parents, I had every single thing that I've ever wanted, I'd have due to my parents. I'm first generation here. My parents came from Cuba. At an early age, my grandparents lost. And that's the crazy part, because my family has gone through this once, to be very honest with you. My grandparents lost everything in Cuba. They got everything taken from them. My grandfather, from my mom's side, his family had the biggest cattle ranch in their province in Cuba. They literally came in, tagged every cow, and said, if one cow's missing, people are going to die. That was basically what they were told, right? Oh, by the way, you could still work the farm, but it's ours. My grandmother's dad owned the bus lines from the capital to the province. They took literally took every bus they owned and everything of that sort. So my family's already seen that type of government. And it's crazy because I still have I still have my grandmothers, or barely have my grandmothers, but in being able to sit down and talk to them and everything and tell me what they experienced, and they see the news now, and have my 97-year-old grandmother look at me and say, you're going through what I went through, but in a different format. It's crazy.
Dude, that's nuts. I'm telling you, Fabian, I think you would love Vegas, dude. Like, living in Vegas is so different than going to Vegas and visiting the Strip. And there's parts of it that remind you of Southern California quite a bit. But Nevadans are they're phenomenal people, man. Not that Californians aren't.
I don't like being around a bunch of Cubans. I'm already loud enough. I'm having too many crazy dude. Like,
when you're all the Cubans, you're gonna have to go back to Miami.
Oh, dude, don't even. I don't care for Miami, bro. I'm telling you this right now. Next time you're in Cali, I want you to come to my house. You will leave there pissing your pants, because the conversations and the way there's no filter in my household, you will literally be like, holy shit.
Dude, I'll come through, man. I'll be honest. I avoid California at all costs. I don't even like driving through. I don't like flying in. I'm over it.
Because it's such a beautiful state, man.
Dude, it's gorgeous. And some of the best people I know, yourself included, live there. Some of the most conservative people I know live there. But, like, by and large, shitty decisions, give shitty results.
You know what? It's that whole thing. What they say, when the quiet majority stays quiet. Unfortunately, in California, that rings true through the bone. I'm vocal in certain ways. Like I put out there all the time, people need to wake the fuck up. And like some people tell me, like that's gonna affect your business. I'm like, you know what? If they don't want to do business with me because I'm like I could share an opinion, and I guess that's the biggest thing too nowadays. People can't have a conversation like this and respect each other and be able to have differences, but still be like, let me think about that. Like I have a lot of conversation with people where I don't agree with a lot of their stances, but I'll respect the fact that they can have their opinion like I could have mine. My problem is that when they tell me I can't have an opinion, oh, dude. And that's a lot of what happens with that take. So they want to voice their opinion, but as soon as you say something to them, it's like you hurt their feelings or they're offended.
I agree, dude. Everybody should have the right to their opinion and to voice it and to vote their opinion. But that, like you mentioned, the silent majority, I've always said the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? And the silent majority, they don't show up and vote. They're like, I can't take that lunch break and go vote. I got to get to my second job. I got to do this. I got to do that. And they just haven't given themselves a voice. And so now, love it or hate it, however many views I have that align with maybe a little more conservative silent majority, I have to be mad at them too. And not just in California, dude, nationally. Yeah. Because they won't show the fuck up. And here they are mad about some results that they're not having. It's no shit. You just figured everyone else was going to get it done for you.
No. And it's crazy. I think a lot of people are waking up to that. You're hearing a lot more people be vocal and everything of that sense. Look, being like, with all that portion, like being first generation here, my family always taught me, like, I'm Cuban descent, right? I'm very proud of my heritage. Very proud of my heritage. I wouldn't have it any other way. But my family always taught me, from my dad to my grandparents, everything. I'm American first, and then I'm Cuban descent. And I need to be proud of this country because this country gave my family the opportunity that we had and have, right? My parents, my dad went in the military after high school. My mom worked at a bullshit job with Wells Fargo and Wachovia for shit, I don't know how many years. But those opportunities of them being able to work and come here and start a new living gave me and my brother the opportunity that we had. My parents put us through private school all our lives. I don't know how the fuck they did it. Literally, like sometimes to this day, I scratch my head like, how did they make ends meet? My brother and myself were always playing travel baseball. My brother played college ball. I played college ball. My brother ended up going to med school. My brother's a doctor. I'm an entrepreneur. I have my own business. I've had my own business for 15 years or a little bit more than that. But it's crazy how people downplay the potential you have in this country, and all they see is, oh, there's just racism, there's just this, or just that. They don't talk about all the good things here. And the crazy part is they also don't see that how many other people from outside of this country truly want to come here because of that opportunity. And all you ever hear is the negative part. And that shit burns me sometimes. I was at a lunch a couple months ago, maybe a year ago. Some guy that was like, this country needs to become a socialist country. I fucking lost it. I lost it. Because I was like, dude, has your family ever gone through that? Have you ever gone through that? I literally told them, all, pack your shit. Fly 90 miles off of Key West. Fly those 90 miles. Get there. Live there. And see how long you can live there. And realize how much you have here and what you need to appreciate. And I think that's the biggest problem nowadays, is that a lot of these generations don't have the appreciation because they've been catered to, like they've been coddled so much. They've been given everything. They feel entitlement. My daughter's 15 years old, and I tell her almost every day, you're not entitled to anything. You need to work. You want to be number one. Why do I want to be number one? Because everybody else is going to try and outwork you. Maybe you're not going to get there, but what do we need to do to make it there? You need to work hard. No one's going to give you anything. But it's crazy. It's nuts to me. And I don't get it.
Dude, so tell me this. What's the most positive experience you've had as far as being an American then in recent times?
Just seeing everything.
Talk about some good, dude.
It's just everything I see. Honestly, the good is what you could do, what you can make of yourself here, man. That's the honest truth. Even though the economy's slow and everything's going, like, I'm really blessed. Like, I have business. I have people reach out to me. Like, I still could do a lot more than most people can. There's just people that aren't able to do that. You're able to enjoy your family and spend time with them. Look, I love that, Yeah. So it to me, like, being able to spend time with my family, do everything I can, have the opportunities to have what I have, that's no other place.
What do you and your family enjoy doing together?
Yeah, man. We cook a lot. My family.
I'm obviously all about that.
You know what's crazy? Even my significant other always tells me, because she comes from a different type. She's Mexican. She comes from a different type of family. But your family's so much about dinner. Your family dinner's such a big deal for your family. And it's crazy because it's so true. I grew up having dinner with my grandfather every day. And it was awesome. Being able to sit down, shoot the shit with my grandpa, have him just talk shit to me the whole dinner. It was awesome. And I did that all through high school. Went to college. Anytime I came back from college, always sat down, had dinner with my grandparents and at my grandparents' house. So what I enjoy so much is we have dinner with my parents every week. My daughter gets to sit and have dinner with her grandfather, who is literally her favorite human being on this planet. Every night, she sits next to him. She talks to him. Like, it's a big deal for us. And that's probably one of the biggest joys I have every day without we're able to do that. No phones are allowed at the table. So we sit there, we bullshit, we talk, so on and so forth. Cooking is key in our family. It's huge because it's where we sit down and partake and leave everything else everywhere else.
Dude, I love that. My boys like to help out. My wife doesn't love cooking. She doesn't. But my boys love to help, especially in the summer when we do cookouts, right? And we'll get everything all prepped up. You've got your marinated chicken and pork and everything. And we do grilled tacos, like grilled pork, grilled chicken, grilled beef. We do tacos a lot, way more than we do like steaks or something like that. So we get it all ready. We've got some of the inside ingredients done, some fresh salsa, some limes cut up, cilantro's nice and chopped, and everything's ready to go. And then we start loading up like this cookie sheet with the cooking utensils and all the meat and tortillas and everything. And we just load it all up. And then before we go out, they already know, like my boys already know, you got to have a cookout drink. And Dad obviously pours himself an adult beverage. But my boys will get in there into the powdered drinks. There's this powdered drink we drink. It's like Crystal Light, but it's healthier. It's called Ultima.
Okay, yeah.
Magnesium, potassium, and it's sugar-free. They use like stevia and stuff. So they'll make themselves one of those in a similar cup to the mug I'm making my cookout drink in. And then we go out and we like throw the football or the baseball around. We cook out. They want to help flip this and flip that. And dude, you're talking about those times around the dinner table. That's what I remember growing up a lot too, honestly. And my parents had to work hard. I had a bunch of siblings and we just didn't see each other all day, every day. And a lot of times even throughout the week, like at dinner as we got older, because high school sports run later. And it was like, especially on the weekends, dude, dinner with mom and dad. And it was like the one time we got to sit there as a family and just talk. And that's what it reminds me of, dude. It's pretty cool. It's hitting home.
It's crazy because like when I have to go on a business trip or anything like that, I'll be honest with you, one of the things I miss the most is that. And it's just the fact of the matter is that's the one time I get to unwind and not think about anything else for a while. If not, you're probably a lot like myself. If not, my mind's going a mile a minute with everything else I needed. And it's literally the 60 to 90 minutes where I don't give a shit about anything else. I'm spending time out here with my family. I got my grandmother sitting next to me. I got my dad and my mom. It doesn't matter anymore. And I think those are the times you take for granted because once that one person that used to be on that table is missing, it's damn, I should have spoken to him more or had other conversations, so on and so forth. And I think that's one of the big things with being with family. I was never a mama's boy or daddy's boy. I was always with my grandpa, day in, day out. I'd had conversations with him, his friends. They treated me like a man at the age of 12. Those are the times I remember, and it was always around the table.
Dude, and it's crazy. You're right. Like it's crazy how fast, like one day you look up and somebody's not there. I've got this really good buddy, Jeremy, in Vegas. And dude, this was like probably a year and a half ago or something. He and I were talking. Actually, it might have been like a year ago. I was down there. It was before I got sick. So I was still traveling. But I was getting ready. Usually when I, since I moved away from there, when I go down, I don't get a hotel. I stay with Jeremy. He's my boy, So we're talking. Yeah, we get the chance to talk and everything. And I'm like, hey, man, what are you doing this weekend or whatever after you drop me off at the airport again? Dude, I'm going out to my dad's out in Boulder City, and I'm going to hang out with Mark all weekend. And I was like, man, you've been doing that a lot lately. I haven't known you to do that. Here and there, once or twice a month. But it's gotten to where, not necessarily every free moment, but a lot of those free moments, right? And he said something, and it's just been sticking with me this last year. He's, yeah, dude, I was just laying in bed one night, and it just hit me. My grandfather died at a certain age. My great-grandfather died at that same age. My great-grandfather died at that same age. My dad's probably going to die at that age. I've got less than 200 Saturdays left with him, and I'm done. And so every time one goes by, it's 199, 198, 197. It just keeps ticking.
Dude, I feel you. I have one of my grandmothers right now. Just not well. And I had to sit down and have that conversation with my daughter. Okay, you're 15. You're at an age where you understand all this. You understand our time is very limited. So you gotta make sure you try and enjoy it as much as possible. I had my daughter's quinceañera at the end of September.
Congratulations.
That shit was like a mini wedding. Let me tell you, at 175 people, it was nuts. Okay. And the two main reasons that we did it, because they were always talking about how they never had one. And they wanted to make sure that their first granddaughter did. And both of them were there. And it was crazy. I got to see the pictures of it. And there were certain photos crushed me in a sense, not crushed me, but I was like, oh my God, where my daughter's like giving them a kiss or a hug to both of my grandmothers. And I was just like, fuck, that's what it was all about.
I got chills when you said that, dude. Chills.
Yeah. It's like I say, dude, I think one of the things I learned the most this year was how important family time is. Like, you're a workaholic. I know you are, and so am I. And it's hard sometimes to differentiate or when to turn it off and when to turn it on or not even turn it on because we're always on. It's when to turn it off because we always want to give our families more than we had. We always want to give them everything we possibly can give them. And we got to be turned on 24/7 to do that. I had to learn how to turn it off because it was just, I was like running myself down dry. I was burning myself out. And it wasn't anybody but myself.
You meet both. That was actually one of the first moments I was like, I like this dude. We were in Dallas at a mastermind meetup, and Dallas, Frisco or something, and a bunch of us met up at this like cigar lounge. We're having bourbon, we're having cigars, just having a good time, and everybody's talking about our meetings and stuff for the day are over. We're all flying out the next day, and it's, what are you doing this weekend? And I remember you just kicking back, dude, just this fat puff on this big O fatty cigar, and you're just like, I'm gonna go be with my family. I don't give a fuck about anything else. And I was like, this is my type of dude. This is my type of dude. So
it's crazy because that's what I enjoy. Honestly, man, I enjoy being around my daughter. That's like crazy. She gives me a hard time. She teases me, and everybody knows I call her my asshole because she's at that age. She's an asshole, but I'm real about it. But it's doing that, and exactly what you said, like smoking cigars is my brain knows I have that in my hand. I can sit down and relax and not think for a while. So I don't go out. I don't go out to bars. I used to do that all when I was younger. I fucking partied like crazy. Don't get me wrong. Like, I had a great time. But now what I enjoy is literally I go sit in my backyard. Fucking get a nice pour of a bourbon, light up my cigar, and not have a care for 90 minutes to 2 hours.
Dude, you and I are two peas in a pod that way. I can't smoke a cigar at home because my wife hates the smell. So I only get a good cigar when I'm on a business trip and whatever. But yeah,
that's an argument.
Going out to the bars.
That's an argument I don't lose. I tell her, what, smelling like a man and you don't like the smell of a man? Like I do. I started smoking at 18 cigars. My grandfather, I shit you not, I turned 18 years old. My grandfather was like, come on. And in his kitchen, like he had the kitchen area, in his kitchen, he had a side table. He goes, I'll sit down. I'm like, what are we doing? He goes, don't worry about it. I'll be back. Goes to his room, comes back. Has a box of cigars, opens them up. He goes, you're 18 today. You're having your first one. Right there inside the house. Cuts them in, lights it up. My mom was pissed. Haven't stopped since. That's my one, dude. The conversations, like you said, the conversations I've had of being able to sit down and enjoy a cigar with people have been probably the best conversations I've ever had.
Oh, I agree, man. I agree. I love it. But you know this, you pick your battles. And I have my...
I'm horrible at that.
I win. But cigar is one of those. I'm like, okay, when I'm traveling. But dude, I don't go out to the bars. I've got this one buddy here, and on the 18 months I've been here, we've been out to the bars like twice, and we just get super ripped, and I get ripped and everything, and it's just, it's not fun. You know what's fun? We've got this little group of friends at this point, and we get together a couple times a month, and we just have a campfire in the backyard. We all have fire pits at our places, and so it doesn't matter whose house we're at. We light a fire, we sit out there, we have a few drinks. Some of them don't drink, and so they just sit there and hang out and have some s'mores or something. And dude, the kids go and play inside until they pass out on the couch, and we just hang out and talk. And dude, that's so much more enjoyable than going out and just getting hammered all the time.
I guess you get to an age, dude. I did. To me, it wasn't worth it. Especially right now with all the shit that's out there. People trip. I'm the type of guy that I don't look for anything, but I don't back down too much. So it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I remember one of the last times I went out. Like I just had my daughter and everything. We ended up in a scuffle, and I was like, after that, I was like, you know what? Shit, this isn't worth it anymore.
Dude, that's seriously how it is. That couple times a year I go out, it almost always, not necessarily ends in a scuffle, but there's almost always either a really close call or there's a flat out scuffle, and we're like, all right, we got to go now.
Yeah.
Every freaking time. And we're not bad attitude assholes.
There's people are just disrespectful, dude. Like people don't have manners anymore. They have like, number one, I tell my daughter all the time, your generation sucks. They don't have common sense. They don't have manners, right? And just the entitlement. So, dude, I'm a big guy. You know I'm a big guy. I bump into people all the time. And even when it's not my fault, I always say, my bad, sorry, excuse me. That's just being polite. It doesn't matter. But you get people that are just some idiots. And for me...
instead of looking at them and they're like, watch out, motherfucker.
Yeah. And typically those are the Napoleon motherfuckers that are like 4'6".
Just some little twink body bitch boys, BOIs, and yeah.
It's just not worth it anymore. So like you said, doing something like that, like my cousins, we've been doing this more lately as well. It's like what you're saying, like my cousins and myself and good friends, like we go to one of my cousins has a lot of them at his house because he has a pool and everything like that. And his house is like really set up for it. And his wife really doesn't mind. But dude, we're always barbecuing, we're always doing something. The guys get together, we smoke cigars, we have a couple drinks. The girls are there talking and doing what we call chismean, getting all the gossip and all that shit. And it's great because the kids get to be around each other. And it's just not about us. And that's the time my daughter gets to be around that side of the family and all the cousins and everything. And it's funny because when we really started doing that again, my daughter wouldn't sit down and isolate herself. I'd be like, hey, dude, like, your cousins are over there. Go chat them up. Oh, I'm shy. I'm like, come on. You're not shy. You're being an ass. Go. Fun. But I just enjoy, dude. Like being around family, and it's just not family because a lot of times you can't stand blood family. It's the people you love that you consider family and you have a connection with it day in and day out. They will have your back like you'll have theirs. Like that right there is the meaningful.
Dude, that's what I always tell folks is I have some blood family that's family for sure, a lot of them, but I also have family, and family is the people you choose to have around you that bear you up and who you would also bear up. You would take a bullet for. You need a ride, say less. You need money, whatever, how much. You're hungry, cool. I made extra. It doesn't matter. I'm here for you. You're there for me. That's family. And it doesn't
100%.
matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter what vagina you came out of.
It's then you couldn't have said it any better, to be honest with you. I have family and I'm close with my family, but there's a couple of my boys that deep down, if I ever needed anything, I know I got 3 or 4 that I could count on my fingers. They're not many, but the ones that I can count, I know if I called them and I said, hey, but most importantly, if anything were to happen to me, they would make sure my daughter's taken care of.
Yeah.
And it's vice versa. That's the big thing. Because again, we don't know what's going to happen, but we all know within our group, like something were to happen and our families need to be taken care of, especially our kids, they won't need or want anything.
Dude, that's pretty badass, man. That's something we actually we've had some really good friends, and even some of them good enough friends that it's like they're family. But it was so sparse. Like when we were living in Utah, even in Vegas in a lot of ways, we've got some really good friends, and I would trust them with not just my own life, but with my kids and my wife for sure. But dude, coming up here to Idaho, I don't know what it is. This street we landed on, man, it's just like we've got this little friend pack living there on the street. My wife literally said to me this morning, and she was like so happy, but like she had water in her eyes, and I was like, why the fuck are you crying about it, Camille? And because I just realized when I was dropping the boys off at school, I'm just like waving at this person and waving at this person. They're like, hey, and every single day. And it's just, oh, you got shit going on? I'll get your kids. Like, don't give me $20. I'm going to feed them and be so damn happy doing it. And like it's just out of nowhere.
Bro, my house is that house with my daughter. So I'm really strict. I was raised, my parents were really strict growing up, like to the point, you're going to laugh at this shit. My dad, till I was about 15, 16 years old, my dad would make me tuck my shirt in. If I left the house with him, my shirt had to be tucked in. You don't know how many times I would walk out with my shirt untucked and he'd be like, go tuck in your shirt. And by the time I come back out, fucker would have left me. Right? This is teach me that
shirt in, motherfucker.
Yeah. So my parents are really strict. And it's funny because nowadays they're like, oh, we weren't that strict. And I didn't. It makes me, I'm like, holy shit, how do you guys like forget so easily? My mom tries to give me a hard time sometimes because she's, you know what, you're hard on your daughter. And I look at her and I'm like, I'm raising her the way you raised me. So how's that a bad thing? Oh, she's not a boy. I don't treat her like a boy. I'm very straightforward with her because nowadays, if you're not, it becomes a whole other thing. I tell my daughter day in and day out, I don't care what your friends do. I don't care what your friends' parents do. I don't give a shit. They don't run my house, my rules. Now, I say that, but it's funny because all her friends and everything, they come down to my house. They want to go to a football game. Guess who's driving them? Myself or her mom, or so on and so forth. They want to go to Knott's Berry Farm or they want to go to a theme park. Guess who's driving them? We're always making sure that they can go ahead and go do whatever they want. But it's on our rules, our ways. I also have her group of friends. We met up with their family, all the families once at a mall. And I look at the dads, I'm like, hey, you guys want to go have a drink? And I kid you not, by the time the moms turned around and looked for us, we were gone. There's 5 of us. And we sat down and I told the dads, I go, look, I want to be straightforward with you guys. Like when your daughters are with me, I'm going to treat them like if they were my daughter. I will give them everything I can. I will work. If they need something, they'll be taken care of. If they do something I don't agree with, I will let them know. And then I will have a conversation with you and let you guys know. I go, but here's the thing. I would expect the same thing from you because my daughter is a reflection of me. And if she does something that doesn't correspond with what I'm teaching her, you have every right to say something. Don't put your hands on her, but to be like, hey, I don't think your parents would agree with that. Hey, I have no problem with that. My parents used to leave me and be like, hey, if you need a swaddle, go right ahead. No big deal.
Dude,
You
I
know?
love that. I feel like people are so chicken shit they can't talk. So I've got this buddy, right? And they live on the street there and whatever. And there was one time, this was a few months ago, my boy and his boy had a little spat. They were out jumping on the trampoline. I heard about it at the end of the day. And the story I got was obviously from my boy. Oh, so-and-so hit me. And he got the opposite end of that story. Oh, so-and-so hit me. And so I just picked up the phone and called him. I was like, yo, my kid's telling me your kid's hitting him. I'm sure you're getting another end of the story because the truth is usually somewhere in the middle. Let's be men. You want to, I was like, you're right down the street. I've got a drink. Pour yourself a drink. Let's sit on the curb and just chat it out. Make sure we find that middle of the road and we can both raise our boys accordingly. And dude, that's what we did. We took 5 minutes. We walked down the street, sat there and chatted up like good people. And it's like, okay, cool. Thank you for giving me that perspective. I appreciate that. I went home, talked to my kid about some things. He talked to his kid about, and they play together every day still. His boy's always welcome at the whole 9 yards, but like, how is he going to have the opportunity to be a good dad unless we picked up the phone and talked to each other and we were like, hey, let's help each other be good dads.
It's that what I mentioned at the beginning, dude. It's like that whole being able to have a conversation, right? I know my kid isn't perfect. Shit, she's my kid. I know the way I was growing up. I'm pretty sure my daughter could have a little bit of me or a lot of me, personality-wise. Now, I also know her mother. I know the attitude. So I know my daughter's half Mexican, half Cuban, dude. That don't gel very well. The spiciness that comes out of that little girl sometimes, I know my daughter. So a lot of times, my daughter was getting bullied a little bit by some girl at school. And I literally told her, I'm like, you don't allow it. I go, you don't allow her to try and make herself look better by talking down to you. I'm like, you need to defend yourself. Not physically, call her out. I go, because the people that normally do that are chicken shit. And
those Kevin Hart insults on her, call her out. Just be like, you cross-eyed, crawling down your back foot ass bitch.
Carson, I shit you not. I get a video sent to me. A video. My daughter, during lunch, confronting this girl, her friend recorded it. And I was like, damn, dude, this girl is my daughter. When I get into a mood, I pace. I can't sit still. And if I'm bothered, even more. Dude, my daughter's walking back and forth, yelling at this girl, clapping at her and letting her know her piece. I was like, holy shit, that's my daughter.
Dude,
proud of her because she didn't get physical, but she stood her ground. And the girl backed down, hasn't had a problem with her since. And that's the thing. In life, there is confrontation. And I've told her, I'm like, that's not going to be your first and your last. But you got to learn how to be able to deal with it and not cry about it and just wither away and let people take over you. And don't get me wrong, I'm also the type of person I tell her, punch her in the throat. If she flinches at you like she's going to do something, you punch her in the throat.
Dude, that's a whole point of maturity, though, because there's two types of confrontation, right? There's burn a bridge confrontation. And then there's, I want to keep doing life with you, but we got to have words, right? Like me and my buddy had. And that's a whole point of maturity and teaching somebody, like raising a kid with just the emotional intelligence to tell the difference between the two. Like it's either burn a bridge and we're done. I don't need you in my life. Or like we can be confrontational without being, I don't know, without burning that bridge, without.
Look, one of my ex-business partners is one of my best friends. Like he's my brother. Got to a point where it just wasn't jiving and doing well business-wise. We had to sit down and have that conversation. Look, I love you to death. You're my brother. I'll do anything and everything for you. But business-wise, it's just not working anymore. We gotta just separate and go our separate ways because we have different visions and different avenues in that way. Dude, he's my daughter's godfather. And the crazy part is a lot of people were like, so you guys still talk? No, we don't still talk. We're still fucking brothers. We're still family. Like we just had the conversation and realized that we will always have each other's back, but just business-wise, it wasn't working in the best way possible. Dude, nowadays people just can't have conversations. And then if they do, it seems like one side or the other starts, oh, you're not trustworthy, you're not this, instead of looking at it from both perspectives. It's having respect for one another. And it's sad that people can't have those type of relationships or choose not to. because those relationships can be had. It's a choice, you know? But it's like I told my daughter, that's not the only time that's going to happen. And I've also told her, like, when you get into the real world, it's going to happen more times than none. You're going to have a coworker who wants to go above them, depending on what you do. They're going to try and make you look bad because they're trying to get into that next level and so on and so forth. And you're going to have to step up and defend yourself. Not in a physical way, but in a way that let everybody know, hey, you ain't going to fucking be doing shit like that.
And sometimes you got to bounce that bitch's head off the paper towel dispenser in the bathroom. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. I didn't want to say it.
Yeah, I'll say it, dude.
It's funny because, like, even this morning, I shit you not, I had a conversation with someone. I'm trying to do a transaction with someone, and the guy starts getting vocal. He starts raising his voice and everything. Now I've had a shitty fucking, I'm not gonna lie to you, I have a shitty week. My grandmother's been in and out of the hospital. Mother, I don't even want to get into that, but like I've been having a shitty week. Had a good morning because closed the transaction that we worked hard on. Great there. Trying to help this gentleman's client. He's not even a client. But the guy starts getting like out of hand. And I'm like, hey dude, like, why are you raising your voice? Why are you starting to yell? And he keeps going. And then finally I'm like, you know what? I don't know who the fuck you're talking to or why you fucking talk to people this way, but I'm not that person that allows it. I called my buddy who's the one who put us together. And I literally told him, I go, dude, if I ever meet this guy, I'm going to put my fucking fist in his mouth. And he started laughing. He was like, I just don't work that way. I was always taught to be respectful, man. Like, my parents still put me on check sometimes. I don't get it. I just don't get how people could be that way.
I don't know, man, but there is a time and a place where sometimes you got to reach out and you got to touch somebody with violence.
I agree. I just don't like to get to that point.
Yeah, I don't either. But sometimes as a man in this world, or even as a woman in this world, you got to just reach out your arm and just drape your fingers across somebody's neck for a little bit.
It's oops, my fist met your face. I'm sorry.
But I'm actually not, because you were being a bitch.
Yeah.
How's the new business going, by the way? Like, you guys just launched this, kicked it off, new business partners, the whole 9 yards.
It's been great, man. Having the support that I have has been instrumental. Ashley is fucking phenomenal. She's one of the best there is in the industry. Me and her, I feel really level each other out with the knowledge that we each bring. She helps me out with a lot of my shortcomings because she's really organized and everything of that sort. And I'm typical kind of guy, stuff like that. And then having a mentor, partner, just someone in your life like Sammy Knight. Can't say more about that guy, man. Like, the knowledge he brings, the way he's so forthcoming, the way he's able to communicate. I think that's one of the biggest things that I've been getting, is more learning how to communicate the right way through the way he communicates. It's starting to move, and he's starting to see it too. And he's as excited as we are. We're going to be out there more. We're going to be pushing the brand more, expanding and taking it to a different level. But I got to admit, like, I've been in the industry for a very long time, and this is probably the very first time that I feel like this is it. Like, it's come together. And
which is significant, because right now is not an easy time to be in the mortgage space, let alone
you'd be surprised.
Pull the plug on old businesses and fire up a new brand.
You'd be surprised, because that's where I say we're blessed more than most, right? It's crazy because most people are like, oh, I'm barely getting any applications in. For us, an application is an opportunity, right? It's a prospect. It's a lead. It's not a guaranteed, but they still can't even get an application. I think within the last 30 days, we've gotten over 30 to 40 applications. Ashley's a fucking killer. She's out there pushing. I'm out there pushing. We have our support group with our internal girl, Rihanna, who handles all the internal stuff. And right now it's a small team that's going to start growing and expanding, and it's going to be interesting what happens next year. And I'm actually fucking excited, like, immensely, to see what's going to happen and how it's going to happen.
I'm excited for you. I still think there's a lot of validity to the real estate and mortgage markets right now. The market's shifted. It's not the average home buyer right now. It's the investor.
A lot of investors. A lot of investors, and we're able to. That's a big thing. Like we're able to cater to what their needs and think outside the box and come up with ideas that still puts them in a good position. Everybody's talking about how rates are high. First time I bought my home, my very first house, I bought at almost 7%. I think it was 6.875, 2004 or 5. Okay. Like people are seeing those rates now and they're like, oh my God, it's the end of the world. No, it's not. First off, it's all relative. Income's higher, job security's now where we're at, who knows, but still income's higher, everything, rates are higher. Yes, I understand that. But people are making a lot more money than they were making in the past. The problem is nowadays is their money management skills are shit. That's the big, let's talk what the real issue is. And that's probably part of the issue. They don't know how to save to put a down payment. Yeah. They don't know how to manage
the combination thereof, because like incomes are higher, but incomes have not inflated at the same rate real estate has. So home values are considerably higher for the same type of property. That inflation, very much so. Even right now, where it's slowed down a bit, it's very far outpaced income inflation. But I will give you this. And rates right now they're not awful.
They're still historically under what the average is, which is 8.5%. Dude, my parents bought at 13%.
I was looking at some studies. I don't remember the exact numbers, so I won't put them out there because I'm going to sound like an idiot. But real estate has inflated like more than 50% more than incomes have inflated. So that is one thing for sure. But you're right. Money management fucking sucks, especially after COVID, dude. COVID hit and everybody was like, I don't have to manage my money. Government's going to print checks. They're going to give me loans that I might not have to pay back. And I might do that. Like money was just so free flow. That was the first time, by the way, in United States history that corporate debt actually went on the bond market, which is a big damn deal. A lot of people won't realize the significance there, but corporate debt has never been on the bond market. And I don't know, it's damn significant.
And when you talk about that part of money management, like I remember when I was growing up in high school, we had an economics class where our teacher actually taught us how to balance a check, how to do shit. It was crazy. I really was like, why the fuck is he making us do this? He made us write out a proposal of managing 2 years at a certain salary and getting married. And I was like, why is he doing this? And he laughed at me because I was the only one that said I wanted a 2-bedroom apartment. being a smartass. And he was like, why are you paying for that extra bedroom? I said, because when I get kicked out of the other bedroom, I want a bed to sleep on. And he just looked at me, he was like, Jesus, it would be you. But dude, they don't teach any of that. They didn't
teach that when I was like the school I came up through, man. We didn't have financial. I know that same high school now has financial literacy, but they didn't have a financial lit class when I went there. Like I don't know. Dude, have you read The Linchpin by Seth Godin yet?
No.
I would highly recommend it. It's a great book. Seth did a great job.
Text me that one. I was going to write it down, but text it to me.
Yeah, I'll text it to you. He had another one he did a long time ago, years ago, The Purple Cow, which is a great marketing book. But Linchpin is a great book, and he's got some really great views. And I have to agree, like our education system, it's 150 years old here in the United States. Our education system was based on the Industrial Revolution, where it was good for the economy to raise good worker bees, and good worker bees didn't need to rely on solid financial principles. They relied on the company that they invested their life to take care of them thereafter. That's what the fuck a pension is, right? Pensions are going away. They by and large don't exist. 401as, 401ks are drying up. That's why, like in the financial sector, the running joke is that they're a 201k, and there's so many pieces of this, but the education system we have still has failed to evolve to meet this current world we live in. We don't live in an industrial world anymore. Like the factories are getting shut down. People are getting replaced with robots and stuff. That sucks. But there are other job opportunities outside of that. But the money management is different. When you're like, it's got to be 15, 20% of the entire population is self-employed. It's the handyman, it's the realtor, it's the insurance agent or whatever. Like that's 1 in 5 people, right? But the money management, when you're doing that, is very different than when you're working for the car manufacturer and all you have to do is hit 30, 35 years and they're going to make sure you're able to afford retirement. Right?
Like you said, those pensions are starting to disappear as well.
Oh, they're disappearing. And even though Social Security is not going to go away, you try and tell me there's a single senator out there that's going to be like, yes, let's get rid of Social Security. By the way, vote for me. Ain't nobody doing that. But what are they going to do? They're going to continue to push back the age. They're going to continue to the full retirement age. They're going to continue to inflate. People think inflation is just because we made poor money decisions. Inflation is a hidden tax, right? Inflation is how they recoup those dollars back that they were handing out.
Yep.
Those dollars, they go back in the form of taxes and they don't go back out. They stay in the coffers, right? And that's one of the ways you do it. Inflation is one of the most intricate and expansive taxation tools out there. And all governments use it, not just ours, but...
Oh, no, it's just nuts how all that you're saying, that just the taxation and everything, like it's fucking nuts. People literally don't realize that at the end of the day, you're being taxed upon tax. You're taxed on the dollars that you earned. Then you go and buy something and you're getting taxed upon that as well. So your money is way less than what you truly do.
Dude, what's crazy? I was talking to this dude the other day. Dude makes good money. Good money. He's a smart guy. He's a doctor. He lives in California, right? He's making about $1 million a year. He's a surgeon. He's a surgeon. He's making about $1 million a year. And that's his income. It's not what he gets to keep. That's his income. But because he's making $1 million a year, like his total marginal tax rates are progressive. He's paying like 33%. He's not, so 36.9, 37 is the top, but not all your income is taxed at that. It's progressive, right? So, but he's sitting at about 33% federal. But then because he's making that much money, he's not at the California 8% state income tax. He's at what's your top tax rate? It's like 12.5?
Close to 15, yeah.
Yeah, it's up there. He's losing basically 50 cents on the dollar overall. Yep. So he's only keeping, I think his total net out was like 540, made $1 million, got to take home 540. And it's funny because we were on the phone and I was telling him about this mastermind I run and we're starting to blow up in Canada and other countries. And he's, man, Canadians suck. And it's like, first of all, I spent 3 years up there. Love Canada. Tim Hortons is the fucking bomb. Tim Hortons over Panera any day. I'm just saying that. But I was like, what is the average Canadian pay in tax? It's about 50%. The fuck do you think you're paying? At least they get healthcare for it. At least there's not all this other stuff. Then you have all these fuel taxes, sales taxes, and all the road tax. And then you toss a gum wrapper out the window, $393 littering fine. Who the fuck came up with that number, California? Have you seen those signs?
Gas tax. It's fucking, dude, every June, dude, our gas tax goes up no matter what.
That's so you can clean up San Francisco every time a dictator comes through. Dude, have you seen the movie?
I could be on my phone right now. I'm in downtown Long Beach. That's where I have my office. Dude, if I walk down my phone, put you on camera, flipped it over and walk down the street, 2 blocks over and everything, a block over that way, dude, it's amazing how they allow people just to camp out.
Dude, we got to send a dictator through.
Don't even get me started.
Have you seen the movie The Dictator?
Yes.
Bro, you need to go rewatch that. I was watching it a couple weeks ago, just mindless, letting the mind numb out at the end of the day type of thing. And he goes off on his rant. He's, I don't know what you all have against dictatorships. If anyone wants to speak out against you, you just shut them up. If anybody is running a business you don't like, you just shut them down. And like basically going through all this stuff. And it's, that's happening in America. That's happening in America. That's happening in America. There's only one media outlet. And even though we have 10 different names for it, they're all doing the same thing. And you can turn on every channel and they say the same thing at the same time and then in the same way. And dictatorships are amazing. Nobody gets out of the narrative, and it's holy shit.
And that's the crazy part. You know how you're naming everything down? Dude, that's when I speak to like my grandmothers, or when I speak to an older generation Cuban, because that's one of my favorite things too, dude. Like when like my grandfather's boy comes back out or comes visit my grandmother or something like that, and I get to sit down and chat with them. One of my favorite things, I had an uncle pass a couple years back. He died at 95, I want to say about 4 years ago. And I used to love it when he used to come out here because, number one, he was a cigar smoker and a bourbon drinker. So me and him, he'd look at me and be like, come on, let's go. And I used to take him to cigar lounge that I used to go to all the time. And then by a certain time, my phone started getting blown up, and it would be my aunt. Your uncle's too old to be out this late. And I'd look at him, I'm like, hey, they want you up. He'd be like, he'd tell me, hang up the phone and we ain't fucking going home. I said, all right, cool. But I would love to sit and speak to them, because you start hearing all the shit they went through, and especially where I'm from. And then he would tell me, he'd be like, you're not seeing it yet, but you're going to see in a couple of years, all the shit that they're fucking doing is the beginning of what Castro was doing in Cuba. Totally different aspect, because technology, the way that you're able to do it, but Castro was doing it back then with pamphlets, with other forms of communication, so on and so forth. It's all the same shit, just a different format. And it's just crazy. I had a 7th grade teacher tell me once, the day you forget about history is the day history repeats itself. Everybody has forgotten all the bad shit that's happened, and not only forgotten, but they just decide to turn the cheek and not realize what's happening. And because they're doing that, it's starting to happen here.
Well, they they turn the cheek. They're like, it's not the same. And then the other thing they do is we were talking about. They're like, oh, everyone I talk to feels the same way I do. They'll show up and vote. No, they fucking won't. Statistically, they won't. They won't, because they're thinking the same shit too. Who's going to show up and vote? Little blue-haired fucking. We have this running joke in our math.
Don't even get me started. Don't get me started.
We don't call them Tinkerbells. We call them Taco Bells.
Oh,
little blue-haired Taco Bells show up with their opinions and they vote. And you know what? Good for them. They're exercising their right. Like, kudos.
You know what's crazy?
Like you and I would.
I was traveling, because I was traveling when this past election. I did a
mail-in ballot.
You know, you're able to check if yours was taken in and counted. Mine wasn't. No one in my household.
Dude, are we gonna get into the political conspiracy theories?
I don't have conspiracy theories, dude. There's too much evidence for this shit. People just want to be blind. My big thing, political wise, dude, I'm not. And here's the crazy part. I'll tell you my political stance. I'm not. Okay, like I lean more towards conservative because of the way shit's going, but I don't partake in any party. Like, I'm a true believer. If you're going into politics and you're going out to help people, your job is just to get the fucking job done. Not only that, our country comes first. It should be Americans first and then everybody else. Because if you can't take care of your house, it's like your own household. If you can't take care of your own household within, you can't help and take care of anybody else.
Yeah, a drowning person can't save someone from drowning. Like, that's
exactly.
That's
our country's drowning. Our country's drowning, and they're trying to help everybody outside of this country, but they're allowing ourselves to just fucking drown and die.
Dude, it's ridiculous. But no, to your point, like, I'm not Republican. I'm not Democrat. I vote both. I'm not even an independent. So I stay unaffiliated. And I will say this, being unaffiliated is way more work than being affiliated, because anytime I want to vote on something, if I want to vote for the Democratic candidate or the Democratic side of the ballot, I have to go register as a Democrat to vote for that. And then I have to go unregister, right, to be unaffiliated. And then I have to go register as an independent or Green Party or fucking like, there I am. I'm just like Ralph Nader, Green Party. But for real, it is a lot of work. But in my mind, my conscience tells me that's what I need to do. And maybe that's not for everybody, but my conscience tells me that's what I need to do to be able to vote my conscience. Because I might tend to vote a lot more conservatively, especially like on economic type stuff, but not always.
Let's go there. I'm interested in, I don't know.
Let's go all the way there. I'm going to pour another drink if we're going to go there.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, keep going.
What is your idea or your stance on term limits or age limits? Because my biggest thing is you got all these old motherfuckers that have already made millions upon millions of dollars pushing their narratives on both sides, not just one, both sides, but doesn't help anybody else.
I think, give me 1 second. I'm almost back. Just topping off the old mug. All right, so term limits. Absolutely for it. Why the fuck would we sit here and say, let's put term limits on a president and not the people who have the power to override the president?
Oh, you have these people that are half dying that can't even talk anymore and they're running our country. Why?
These people that like come in, dude, I was going through some numbers today on some of this stuff. The one that stood out to me was Nikki Haley on the GOP, running for the GOP ticket and whatever, came in literally fucking broke, negative bank balance, and has a net worth like multiple millions.
I don't get that. So there's that.
Like term limit, and that because it just gets worse. Then you have a Nancy Pelosi.
I was about to mention her.
Freaking Hillary Clinton. Or
I was about to mention her. Dude, Hillary Clinton is a freaking devil reincarnated, and you can't fucking make me think any different.
I tend to think she's a saggy bag of skin, dude. Like, what the fuck is inside of that skin bag?
Dude, so Pelosi went into her years ago. Her net worth when she started was $75,000. She is now worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And mathematically speaking, how? Because
what is Nancy worth?
She's worth like 150 to 2.
I'm gonna have to, dude. I need to get somebody in on this podcast, so when we have questions like that, they can just look it up for us.
But the crazy part is how the fuck do you make that much money off $170,000 a year? And that's where I don't get where people don't like. Why don't they question this? It was funny because I was reading. I saw a meme, not a meme, but a reel.
120 million, by the way.
There you go. Oh, by the way, her husband's a stock trader. You know that. But the funny thing is, I saw a reel today that hit home where it started off with this liberal person asking, oh, if you could put in an amendment, what would be an amendment? And the guy comes out and says that anybody that runs for office or any office that's supposed to be helping the community or governmental or whatnot should make only the medium amount in that state. And I was like, fuck. That would weed out a lot of these motherfuckers.
Dude, that'd weed out a ton of them. Here's the thing, though, right? Because the way our government works, a two-thirds vote can veto, can undo anything we've ever done since the signing of the Declaration of Independence, since the ratifying of the Constitution. Anything we've done, a two-thirds vote can undo it, right? And here's the damn thing. So we can sit here and we can be like, okay, there's some bad apples. Nancy Pelosi, fuck that bitch.
Yeah, you got, what's his name? You got the guy that freaking
Mitch McConnell. Like, it's on both sides. That's my point, though.
I'm telling you, it's on both.
That's my point. It's not that, most of these people are good and there's a few bad apples. A two-thirds vote, if 2 out of 3 were good people and cared, the vote would have already fucking happened. The fact is, most of them, I won't say all, because I believe there are some good ones there that are there based on principle, right?
Mm-hmm.
I do believe that, but I believe they are not a silent majority. There's a handful. The vast majority, at least 2 out of every 3, we know that. At least 2 out of every 3 are in on the same motherfucking game. And maybe they're not worth 120 million because their husband's not a stock trader, but they've been in the game for 10 years and they're on a $200,000 a year salary and their lifestyle costs $300,000 a year and somehow they're still worth 25 million.
Yeah. And
that's still the same $6 million
home. And they live in a $6 million home.
Yeah. Or they're like, oh, I'm only worth 5 million. Okay. You're worth 5 million, but you make $200,000, but your lifestyle, like if we were to just calculate out your lifestyle, your mortgage, your this, your that, your right? The $50,000 per year you're putting your kids in private school in. And by the way, you got 8 kids and something doesn't add up. You're all in on the fucking game. And that's the thing. They're not all of them, but the vast majority of them are. That's why they won't vote it out.
And that's why I'm a huge believer that common sense isn't common anymore. Because if you literally sit down and use common sense, you would realize very easily something isn't adding up. Because at the end of the day, 1 + 1 = 2. Math.
Right. So here's where I go with it. This isn't like conservative conspiracy shit, right? This is just 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2. If those motherfuckers can't even do math, they want to sit here and tell me that's all legitimate. If they can't even do math, why would I depend on them for the math that drives my healthcare? Why would I depend on them for the math that drives the education of my children? Why would I depend on them to write the curriculum that's going to educate my children? Like, they can't even do simple math.
Yep. I agree with you 100%. 100%. Yeah, I told my daughter's mom at one point, if they continue pushing all this agenda and shit, I hate to say it, but she's going to get homeschooled. We're going to figure it out.
Dude, homeschooling my boys, and our boys are in public school now, but we homeschooled. It was great. Homeschool is not like when we grew up. Homeschool when we grew up was like, you had a good chance of being a fucking loser. I know some really great people that grew up that are our age that were homeschooled. Most of the people that were homeschooled like turned into fucking losers. And it's because they didn't get from their parents what they needed, frankly. It wasn't their fault. But homeschool now is different. Like the social component, it's there. They want to play sports, it's there. I saw the education, dude. It's so much better. The education is better. Yeah. It is fucking better. Flat out.
I know quite a bit of people now that homeschool, and it's amazing. And the community. There's such a community now where they do field trips together. They do all this other stuff together.
That's what they do. And they're like, oh, I would rather have somebody who has a degree in mathematics teaching my kid. Guess what? There's this dude over here who turns out to be a fucking rocket scientist, mathematician, who doesn't happen to believe in the public school system, who dropped out, who has a kid your kid's age, and he's telling you, hey, I really don't like the English thing. You were an English major. Let my kid come over and learn English from you, and I'm going to teach your kids math. And that's how homeschool's working now, dude.
That's crazy.
Social media has improved the homeschool network so much. If I were living in California, my kid would already be in homeschool. I'm telling you that now.
Shit. I told you, I didn't tell you this, but my daughter's in high school. We got called into the principal's office because they wanted to question the fact that my daughter wasn't vaccinated. And it was funny because almost everybody in my daughter's class, her 8th grade year, got COVID. My daughter's never had COVID. My daughter's not vaccinated, right? And going to high school, her freshman year, they were testing every Tuesday. And I was like, dude, I'm not going to have someone sticking something on my daughter's nose every fucking Tuesday. What are the options for that? You can do it yourself. Oh, okay. I'd rather do it at home. We'll send it. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Then we get
creep ass motherfucker.
Dude, no, listen to this, dude. I get her mom gets a text message from my daughter. What's our home address? What do you mean, what's our home address? Give her mom. You should know your home address anyways, but here you go. Right? She comes home and I was like, hey, what happened that you were texting mom? What's going on? She goes, oh, they made me fill out a paper. They made me take the test at home at school. I said, what the fuck? We opted out of that. They made me fill out a form giving an authorization form. She's not 18. Bro, I called the principal and I was like, we need to have a fucking conversation. We went in and I was like, I want to know who had my daughter sign an authorization form when she's not 18 to run the test and do what you guys did. Oh, we have a third-party company that comes in. I'm like, I want their information. I talked to my buddy is my attorney, and he's like family. Like my close-knit group, like we have one guy, it's crazy. Like one of us is in one form or another in some industry. And I called my buddy and I was like, Jeremy, XYZ happened. He goes, fuck that. He goes, you want me at the school tomorrow? I'll go with you. Fuck them. I was like, nah, I'm already scaring them enough. I'm not going to, let me just see what happens and we'll go from there. And dude, the principal started questioning like the way we're raising my daughter in the sense of, you guys were the only family that opted out. I said, yes. My brother's a doctor. My sister-in-law is a doctor. And anything and everything we do medically for my daughter goes through them. I don't go through anybody else. So the fact of the matter is they told us not to vaccinate her. We did it. The fact of the matter that we run everything through them. And then whatever third party company fucking decided to have my daughter do this, there's a problem. So how are we going to rectify this? Bro, by the time I left out, I told them I spoke to my attorney and everything. By the time I walked out of there, they were like, what? And the crazy part is that's the principal. The president of the school was my principal when I was in elementary school.
Oh, shit.
So when she heard that I was there and upset, she called me and I had a conversation with her about it. But dude, like you said, in California, dude, I'm like, I don't give a shit, dude. Like, to this day, I tell people, I don't care. Like, I'm going to raise my daughter my way. And that's a problem a lot of people have. You should do what the tribes do. Oh, fuck you. And I give a lot of credit to people like yourself that was homeschooling your kids and everything like that, because it's a hard decision to make. And then people look at you, oh, you're that thumbnail that stands out because you want to be different. No, I'm making the best decision for my family.
Yeah, no, you want to know what cracks me up about all that? So just a couple months ago, they tried to blow it up again. They tried to blow the whole COVID, like this. And then it got hushed because they were like, oh, COVID's coming back. We're going to do a shutdown in September, October. And it came around, never came. Everybody
California was
just like, fuck this again. Fuck this. If you shut it down, I'm done. I'm fucking done. And look at that, dude.
That whole thing with COVID, talking about conspiracies, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Like, I do my own research. I look at everything. It was a way. What's one of the ways you destroy an economy or something from internally, right? You take away the middle class. Because the middle class, you have business owners, you have all that. That, honestly, let's be honest, that really generates a lot of our economy, right? Take away those small businesses and you destroy those small businesses. Now you have a lot of people starting to depend on the government for help. And you start that whole cycle. That's what they were trying to do. You know? And that's the part that I would tell, like, a lot of people, like friends, I'm like, they're just trying to get rid of the middle class. So there's only two, right? You're wealthy and you're doing well, or you got to depend on the government. It's one or the other.
I feel like at this point, like, I think we haven't seen the last of the COVID thing. They're going to keep coming up with new variants, but it's going to keep getting shut down. I am proud of the American public for putting their foot down this last few months. I'm just saying that.
It's a different stance. A lot of people are like, fuck you. You're not going to do that to us.
They're going to come up with something, though. I had this buddy that was joking about it, and he's super, super liberal, like very liberal. And he's joking about it. He's, the next thing we're going to get y'all with, all you conspiracy theorists, we're going to get you with a tapeworm shutdown. I was like, motherfuck, we are the most obese country on earth. We could use a tapeworm pandemic. Like, we would be fine. Don't shut it down. Like, keep going. Keep going.
It's just all this shit that's going on. They're pushing all this electric. Oh, we want to be electric. You got to have an electric car. You need this, you need that. And I'm like, fuck you. I want to get an electric car that literally, we already know that freaking a Tesla could be programmed to go back to the dealership without being even, they can repo your shit without you even knowing.
What's going to happen with electric cars? I firmly believe this. If it depends, it's not just electric cars. A lot of things go that way. Let's get conspiracy theorists. Okay, here we go. Electric cars, all the shit. They can shut it down. They can control you. They can do this. They can do that. And it's not just Tesla recalling a car. It's Uncle Sam like, no, we want you at this fucking town meeting. Or, no, you don't get absconded into the wilderness and you don't get to go camping this weekend. You don't get to go to your mom's for dinner. We want you home, right? So there's all this shit. But
also, buddy, just like we're talking about, push a button.
That's what I'm saying. So what's going to happen publicly? What's going to happen publicly is you're going to see it's almost going to be like another version of Cuba. What kind of vehicles do they have in Cuba? It's all old shit.
Anybody that has a vehicle in Cuba that isn't part of the government or part of the regime has a car that's anywhere from the 60s down.
Okay? Dude, that's it. And they are like...
But here's the crazy part. You're talking
crazy
about
how ingenious they are to keep them on the road and stuff.
Dude, if a Cuban could make a 1930-something Ford float as a raft from Cuba to here, they can fucking make any.
Dude, no doubt. But that's what I'm saying is they had to go to that to get away from governmental controls.
But here's the other crazy part. We're talking about push of a button, right? Cuba has rolling blackouts. They literally will turn your electricity off. They'll turn your fucking gas off. They will churn and say, oh, there's just not enough power. But everybody that's living in the high areas that is part of the regime and everything doesn't go through that. But they'll literally roll it out. And it's funny because the people that talk about this, and this is, I said almost a year ago where I fucking lost my shit with that guy. They don't have, here's the crazy part. Statistically, if you look at Cuba's medical system, is one of the, doctor-wise and everything, it's one of the highest graded medical systems in the world, right? Physician-wise and everything. But the physicians don't stay in Cuba. If you're a doctor in Cuba, you get paid $30 a fucking month. You know what they do? You graduate from med school and everything, they ship you out and rent you out to other countries. And the government gets paid for it. There's no medication in Cuba. Dude, I could send you pictures of the hospitals with fucking maggots on the beds and shit like that. It's crazy. When COVID was going through Cuba, bro.
Oh, but we should be a socialist country.
Exactly.
Fuck that.
People don't, again,
for the people that want to go socialist or communist, probably just don't listen to this podcast or leave me some hate comments so I know who to hate on.
No, you know what I tell them? Pick up your shit, go live there, and then come back and talk to me. Because unless you experience it, you have no right to say that's what's supposed to happen.
Russia's recruiting, dude. Russia's recruiting. They will take you in. Did you not see the shitstorm of TikTok stuff that went out? It was 6 months, a year ago with the whole Russia-Ukraine thing. But all of a sudden, everybody's For You feed was just filled with Russia's not the aggressor. And I'm not saying I'm support Ukraine and all this stuff. I think the whole thing is fucked up. I think the government is paying a whole lot of white fucking folk through Ukraine funds.
I think Ukraine has something on a lot of U.S. politicians, and that's why there's a lot of fucking money going that way.
Oh, 100%, dude. I think Ukraine has done that. I think there's a lot of money laundering going through the Ukraine funds and all that. But there's also this whole other conversation. I don't believe Russia's this savior out there trying to save everybody from themselves.
No.
I don't believe that. But you saw all this shit. So if you really want a socialist or a communist country, they're fucking recruiting. It's obvious. Get out. And it's fine. You're not going to go be in poverty. You're probably going to live a good life. Get the fuck.
Again, dude, like I say, anybody that thinks that's the resolution should literally pack up, go fucking live over there and tell me and see how long you last.
Dude, the funniest thing is most of the people screaming about it are the people that would lose their life for living their life the way that they do in most of those countries.
And you're absolutely right. They
would lose their fucking life for it.
And the crazy part is you have these people, and when you try to have a conversation with them. So this is crazy, dude. I saw a video the other day, right? Some Cuban guy. He walks, I don't know where he was at, but he sees someone put something about being Marxist and a socialist. And he walks up to them and he's, do you really believe this? And the crazy part is there was a couple of Americans, and then there was two Asian people. One was an Asian girl, one was an Asian guy. And he asked the Asian girl, where are you from? She's all, China. Okay, then why aren't you still in China if you think this is right? Oh, because it sucks there. But you're here pushing. And then he looked at the other people that were white Americans. And you guys are pushing this. Have you ever experienced it? And they're like, no. This is the route we need to go because of this, that, or the other. And he's like, he's with this big ass Cuban accent. I can't fucking believe you guys. You've never lived it. He goes, my family went through it. I went through it. You guys have no clue what it is to live through that.
It's crazy. It's the same thing Austin, Texas is going through right now. But you have all these people. Texas is Texas, but all of a sudden Texas isn't Texas. All of a sudden Texas is a swing state because all these people are pouring out of California. They're pouring out of New York. They're pouring out of... But then they come here and bring the same bullshit. It's like, we came here because of the freedoms and the taxation and the other things. But understand me.
Here's
we ought to do more dumb shit.
One of my biggest pet peeves, man, is when someone leaves anywhere, whether it's a state for reasons or whatnot, a country, and they get somewhere, and they get there, and they want everybody to convert to what their ideology or what their ideas are. That's one of the most fucking stupid. stupidest. It's the stupidity that I cannot stand. That's why I actually I forget I think it might have been the Prime Minister of Australia. I guess they were getting a lot of like Islamic immigrants or Muslim immigrants, and they started protesting that they wanted more of their beliefs to be put into their government. And he came out and he said, no, you came here for a reason. We run our country a certain way. We're going to continue running it our way. If you don't like it, you could go somewhere else. And I think, honestly, that's the way shit needs to be ran. Like our borders being open and everything of that sort. You get people that come here, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I live like this. I want to continue living the way I've been living. Fuck no. You got to wherever you go, you got to adapt to where you've gone, not them adapt to you. And I think one of the things that's happened in our country is we're like, oh no, we're going to adapt to you. You don't have to adapt to us. And that's bullshit.
Yeah. Dude, language barriers here. There's language barriers everywhere. But if you come here, English is the primary language. If I move to France, I would expect to need to learn French. I wouldn't be like, you're not going to talk to me in American? How the fuck am I going to get my grits, boy?
I 100% agree.
I need to learn French. I need to learn Cuban. I need to learn
Cuban,
that's
Spanish.
My prerogative. I came here. Yeah.
Dude, if my grandfather came here, learned English, right?
Yeah.
My grandfather's English was fucking dog shit. But the funny thing is, he could communicate with fucking everybody. My grandfather's biggest thing was, hey, my friend. This was like, he would tell everybody, hey, my friend. And they'd come over, and I don't know how the fuck he would do it. He would end up with whatever he fucking wanted anywhere. And it was crazy. It was fucking crazy. But he respected that.
Yeah, the burden was on his shoulders. He made that decision. He didn't have to be here.
Exactly.
He made that fucking decision. He assimilated to some degree. It doesn't matter where I go.
He adapted the way he needed to in order to be able to live and excel.
These people, and it's not just here in the United States, it's
everywhere.
But if I jump in the ocean, but I prefer to walk, I don't expect the ocean to get hard for me. Not unless ocean is the name of my freaking boyfriend. Like, come on. Did I make you smile and blush a little bit? But nah, dude, like the ocean's wet. I'm going to have to swim. So I better learn to swim if that's where I'm going to be. I don't know if that makes any sense, but.
No, it makes a lot of sense.
Right.
And I think that's where, you know what, in reality and in life, being able to adapt, right? Being able to go somewhere, adapt, make the changes that need to be changed, develop, evolve, right? Is a huge thing in success, just in life in general. I think a lot of generations nowadays, they can't adapt. They don't know how to adapt. They don't know how to evolve. Like, our generations are like chameleons. Like, you put us in a situation and say, I'll figure this motherfucker out. How do I get from point A to point B and be able to be successful? I just think generations now don't know that because they've been told that they don't need to do that and it should just come easy. They don't have to. They're entitled and all that other bullshit.
I think that's what Gen X and millennials have had to do was adapt. It's this leaving of an older world into a newer world. And both Gen X and millennials, they're like, in one way, they're like, I need to show respect. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. But also, I be dripping with that Riz, bitch. You just, like you say, being a chameleon in a sense of it. Dude, total change of subject here. You've seen the show Dexter, right?
Yes.
Dude,
not a lot of it, but I've seen some of it.
You need to watch more of it. I'm hearing the accent. You're wearing the fedora. I'm like, my guy here, it's not a fedora. The fedoras are more like a mob shirt. Is it a fedora?
It's a fedora. I don't bend forward.
Dude, so there's this guy in Dexter. His name is Batista, Detective Batista. I think it's Batista. It's been years. But that's who you remind me of. And Batista's a badass dude. I love Batista. I love his partner, Sergeant Dokes, who was killed.
It's
Dokes was like, surprise, motherfucker. Surprise, motherfucker.
I got into like hats and fedoras because of my grandfather. So all my hats are custom made. And I'm not saying this for any reason, but I'm just going to so they're custom made, and every single one of my hats are for someone that means something in my life. So the one I'm wearing is my grandfather. They used to call me Gallego, which is the Spaniard. That was his nickname because my grandfather was Spaniard from Cuba. So the hat, I'll show you. Inside my hat, right here, what you see here, this was a part of a shirt that my grandpa used to wear all the time. So it was a guayabera he wore. And basically I have that. I have his birthday. I have his initials here. And then, so the hat, I call it El Gallego. So every one of my hats is after someone special in my life. So I have one for both of my grandfathers. I have one for both of my grandmothers. I have one for my dad. I have one for my daughter. So those and I'm always wearing them. So that's why you always see me with my hat. I always feel like I have someone with me.
Dude, what was your most life-changing, heartfelt moment you ever had with your grandfather?
Dude, you know what? I had so many moments with my grandpa, bro. Honestly. I was always with him, especially my mom's dad. I got close to my dad's dad as I got way older. But I was always with my mom's dad. He was my road dog. I used to take him everywhere with me when I started going out. And people would be like, I'd go play dominoes at a bar, and I'd take my grandpa with me. People would look at me and be like, why the fuck are you bringing this old man with him? I'm like, that's my grandpa. He's my road dog. I think one of it was when I got into college, and I was told that I got my scholarship to play ball, and he was like, proud of you. Because I had a moment where I had people tell me I should stop playing baseball, wasn't good enough. And he used to tell me, like, fuck them. That was probably one of the most hard, bro. And one thing I hate, or not hate, but one thing I wish the most is he would still be, would have been around to meet my daughter. That would have meant like everything to me. Didn't happen, but that's probably one thing I wish. Because that probably, like, my daughter's my greatest achievement, and I would have wished he would have met her.
What was the most impactful thing you ever taught? I think as some of my grandpas and in their own ways, every single one of them taught me some significant things. What's like
there was always lessons with him, right? But I'm gonna say there's two. One was everything that happens for a reason. I was always that kid that would be pissed because something happened a certain way. I didn't get my way or didn't work out for me at first, and then all of a sudden, boom, it happened for me. And my grandfather would always tell me, lo que sucede conviene, which basically means what happens for a reason. And that was one thing he would always tell me. What's not for you or what's not for you at the moment, it's not happening because it's not that it's not going to, but basically it's just not the time. Certain things, if they were to happen at a certain age or certain time, like, would have really derailed, right? If I would have been very successful at a young, like, early age, shit, who knows what would have happened, because fuck, things happen. That was one of them. And then the other one was basically, not everybody's going to like you. People are going to either talk shit about you because they don't like you, or they're just going to talk shit about you because they have nothing better to do. Doesn't fucking matter. You don't have to like everybody. Just be respectful.
You have a moment in your mind
probably
when, like, he would tell you those things? What was the scene like? What were you there about to dive in the pool, or like what was going on when he would?
Dude, our conversations, honestly, it was crazy. Like, our conversations were always like my grandfather used to pick me up from school, or excuse me, my grandfather used to take me to school every morning during high school. Right, so that motherfucker would come whistling in my house at 6:30 in the morning.
Ungodly. That's not godly time to whistle,
dude. My grandfather had this specific special whistle. I use it with my daughter. Like, I could whistle anywhere. If my daughter hears it, she knows it's me. She knows I'm calling her.
Dude, do it. Do the whistle.
It's just like that's all my grandpa had to do. Like, it was a high pitch. And we'd always talk, like, in the mornings going to school and stuff. But as we got older, like, I'd go out with him. I would take my grandfather to go have a drink and stuff like that. We just had that bond. He was my boy. My grandfather was literally my best friend. So I left college. I had a year left to graduate, and I left after I stopped playing baseball because I got depressed. I didn't want to be there anymore. went to my parents and I was like, hey, I'm not going back. I don't want to be there. The reason I went to school was to, I'll be honest, I went to college to go play baseball. I can't play no. I don't want to be there. My parents were pissed. They're like, maybe, hopefully, we can't change your mind. We know the way you are. Hopefully, maybe you'll change your mind in the future. It is what it is. My grandfather was like, hey, take some time off. Because I talked to him first. And I'd always go to him first. Take some time off, see what happens, and then maybe you want to go. After a year, I got an itch. I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll go back so I can make my parents proud and just graduate. Just make them proud. And I didn't have the money to go back to school. So I go to my grandpa and I was like, yo, I want to go back to school, but I don't have the money. He goes, how much is it? Told him how much it was. He goes, okay, I'm going to pay for your school. But here's the thing. After the first quarter, if you do not want to be in there anymore, you need to stop. You don't need, he was like, I don't want you doing this for other people and you don't want to do it. Went back for a quarter, didn't want to go back, left, and he was like, all right, you're a man. You made your decision, get to work. It was, dude. Like, if I could tell you, my grandfather, it was crazy. Everybody gravitated to me. People fucking, to this day, I met like certain people, I mentioned my grandfather, be like, man, he was one of the fucking best human beings I knew. And I found out more and more about him after he passed. It was crazy. My grandfather would help people with the little that he had, anybody he could. And I remember a kid that came from Costa Rica. He worked with a family friend of ours. And I was just shooting the shit with him one day. I mentioned my grandpa. And my grandfather had already passed. And he like looked at me and goes, dude, like, I'll never forget your grandpa. And I looked at him, I'm like, you knew him for? He goes, no, you don't get it. He goes, when we moved here, we didn't have anything. He's all, like, my parents rented a house. Your grandfather bought all our furniture. He showed up with the moving truck with a bunch of furniture. And he was like, here you guys go. I was like, what the fuck? And then other people would tell me stories. And I was like, fuck, dude, like, I guess that's what it's all about. Help, right? I think that's why I'm in doing what I'm doing. Like, I want to help people be able to get to a point and have something that's meaningful. A lot of people get told no in my industry. A lot of people in my industry don't want to help in the sense of take the time, not only be transactional, right? And my big thing is not about transactions, it's about relationships. I've worked with families for more than a year, 2 years, until finally get them into the house. And I thank my grandfather for that because I live that way. I'm about relationships, dude. I give a fuck about transactional shit. Like, money's great, and money helps with, I'm not saying money makes you happy, but money makes things easier, right? So having more money still brings other problems, but it makes other things easier. But for me, like, I'm more about a relationship. I'd rather be able to sit down, have a drink and cigar with you than fucking make money off of it. And that's what he taught me. And a lot of people don't get that. And dude, like, I can't thank him enough. At the end of the day, think about him every day. I talk to him every day, to be honest with you. That's the crazy part. I really do. And it's someone I truly do miss all the time. But man, I wish the time I did have him, he was between him and my dad. Those are my two heroes and my two idols. Those two men. You can't tell me anything about those two men that will ever make me look at them differently.
Do you ever sit there in the dark in your chair, everything's quiet for a moment, and you're like, man, my grandfather impacted me like that. My daughter is getting older, and in the next several years or whatever, probably going to start looking at having a family of her own. Do you ever look at it and you're like, how can I live up to that expectation? Because
no,
I might have a grandson, and I want to make sure I provide that same impact.
I do.
Is that a conversation you have with yourself?
It's, you know what? It's funny because my conversation a lot, when I make decisions, when I make decisions and I'm by myself and I'm thinking about shit, a lot of it is, what would he do? How would he handle this? I really do think that way. Between that and how my dad is. Because honestly, I don't say it enough, but dude, my dad's one of my heroes. Like my dad's probably one of the greatest human beings I know. My dad's one of the most humble, giving, authentic people that you'd ever meet. And he would give the shit off. Like, my dad does everything for everybody as well. So between those two, I got a lot to live up to be honest with you. And one of the things that scares me sometimes too is that I won't live up to it. To be honest, that's one of my fears.
What are you doing to fight that fear?
I just try and walk in their path, dude, to be honest. And just hope that I know I've made mistakes. I know I'm a human being, and stuff of that aspect. But I just hope that I just try and walk their path. I honestly look and see what would they do? How would they handle it? And if I feel like it's something that they'd be proud of and whatnot, I'll get into it. If I think it's something that they wouldn't agree with. And the funny thing is it's probably the first time anybody would hear this about my dad, because I don't really say it much. But I like the respect I have for both of those men, even mother and my dad's dad too. Like, I had great examples about everything. So I do have a lot to live up to. And the only way I could do it is just walk their path. I can't walk the identical path and be exactly them. But if I can get close to them, I know I'm doing well and I'm doing good. You know, because that's, in my opinion, those are big ass fucking shoes to fucking try and step into. And it's not going to always go my way that way, right? But if at least I know that I'm really working that way and I'm getting an inch closer, internally, I'm good.
What's the time you fucked up on that path and you knew it?
Oh, bro, there's been many. Just some decisions, some investments. I'm just trying.
Like what? Put it out. Yeah. Air it out. Air out all the dirty.
I had a partner.
I've got 6 listeners.
I had a partner when I was younger. I thought I knew everything. And I had a partner. And the crazy part was he was my mentor. No, he was my first mentor, but he flipped on it. The crazy part was when I got in the industry, I started off as his assistant and everything. I thought I knew everything. My grandfather used to always tell me, make sure everything's clear. If you're doing business, contracts, XYZ. And I would hear it in my head, but I didn't do it. Guy took me for probably $250,000, right? Big mistake. And it was a big mistake because at that time was when my daughter was born. Literally left me with my pants down, right? And it got to a point where I literally wanted, when you say, hurt someone, literally, dude, I wanted to fucking kill him.
I haven't just laid in bed thinking about it. There's been times I've been so mad at a person, I've gone to the gun range and sighted my rifle. I've spent hundreds of dollars on rounds.
Yeah.
Getting good patterns at 300 yards, 500 yards, 700 yards. I've never done anything that fucking stupid, but.
Here's the crazy part. Arnold's did.
Boy.
The guy calls me, tells me he wants to have a meeting with me. Tells me where he wants to meet up with me. Guys, he wants to meet up in front of a police station because he's scared of me. And I get in my car and I'm about to go. And my dad sees me. And I was at my dad's house at the time. I get in the car and I'm about to drive off. And my dad comes out and goes, "Hey, where are you going?" Kurt's up this intuition shit, right? Because all of a sudden I got up and I was walking out. I was like, "Oh, I got to go to a meeting." And he looked at me, he's all, "With who?" I was like, "Don't worry, Dad. I'm just going to go." Dude, my dad fucking sat on my fucking hood of my car. I was like, "You're going to go meet him. I already fucking know it." He goes, "Park your car, get in my car. I'm driving you." I'm like, "I don't need you there." He goes, "I know you don't need me there." He goes, "Problem is that right now, you're not thinking clearly." He goes, "I need to ask you one question." He goes, "Do you want to raise your daughter or do you want someone else to raise your daughter?" I was like, all right. He took me to that meeting. Guy literally was right there. Like, my dad got out of the car with me, standing next to him. We're talking. I'm an emotional person. When you get me fucking fired up, dude, like, my voice, like, I get this from my grandfather. My voice just fucking really goes up, right? And it's not that I'm trying to yell. It's just my emotions. And my dad, I've never seen you so calm and so even keel that I was even fucking scared. The fact that you didn't let your emotions get over you and the way he said things to you and everything, He goes, and the crazy part is this. He goes, throughout that conversation, he goes, I heard what you said and I heard what he said. I knew everything he said was a lie, because I would look at him and he wouldn't look at me in the eyes. And I was like, oh shit. All right. That partnership was probably one of the worst things I didn't listen to my grandpa or didn't take into consideration or think about what he taught me, was to make sure everything was in line and everything was straight up. There's been other mistakes here and there. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect, dude. But at the end of the day, you can't sit back like that. That shit hurt. That shit hurt a lot. Financially, mentally, emotionally. I'm not a person to sit. I'm not a crier. But at that point in my life, dude, I used to catch myself in the bathroom fucking bawling my brains out because I didn't know what I was going to do. And I'd come out and my girlfriend would look at me and be like, you all right? I'm fine. Because I didn't want to also put all that on my family. But dude, that was probably one of the biggest times, and it was like, it got bad. But I made it through, learned. I don't look back at it anymore. Like, I'll talk about it and it doesn't bother me. For a long time, it bothered me. And for a long time, I still wanted to go hurt the motherfucker. Now, you know what? It's made me who I am. I had to learn from it. I don't wish it on anybody. You know what I'm saying? If I speak to anybody that's young, they ask me certain things, first thing I tell them, it doesn't matter who you're doing business with. Make sure you have it in line and you make sure everything's written up. Make sure you have your I's dotted, your T's crossed. Because at the end of the day, when it comes to business and money, a lot of people don't have morals. Even though if I tell you I'm going to do something and I shake your hand, because that's the way I was taught mid-do business. If I gave you my word, I told you, dude, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do my very best to make it this way. If I can't, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to explain to you, hey, I can't do it because of X, Y, Z. These are the reasons, but I gave it my best to do it, right? That's being a man and doing business the right way. Shaking someone's hand, that's the way my grandfather taught me too. But at the same time, nowadays, it just doesn't work out that way.
But what did you do to climb out of that hole, like that dark pit of despair?
Dude, I didn't know how long, like, it took me 2 years. It took me about 2 years to get out of that hole. Mentally. Because it made me lose confidence in myself. And that's something I really didn't ever feel I would happen, that something like that would happen. Like, one thing I've always been confident about is my ability to be able to adapt, my ability to be able to learn, my ability to evolve. And my confidence, that was the biggest thing. The thing I had to do was rebuild my confidence. And it took me a long time. But once I got my confidence back, no one could stop me again.
What gave you that back? Like, it just came back, or?
Believing in myself, dude. No one's going to do anything for me, or no one does anything for you. No one can build your own confidence. You just got to believe in yourself and know that you're going to get it done. I was just questioning everything. Like, I tried to do something, like, nah, that's not going to work, because, like, I was making excuses. I was just making excuses and not just being like, fuck it, I'm going to get it done. Doesn't matter how I'm going to get it done. I'm just going to fucking do it. I was scared. At the end of the day, it was just being scared that I was going to get put in that position again. And what I had to learn was the only one that really put me in that position was myself. And I had to learn to trust my judgment again, and to also realize that I wouldn't put myself in that position again. Once I started truly believing that about myself, it was when the confidence started coming back. When I was like, I could talk to people again. Nah, I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm going to be honest, I think I'm one of the best at what I do in my industry. We're not, my team and our company isn't the normal, like, we don't think like everybody else. We don't need a vanilla white transaction. Like, we'll figure it out. We got to earn it. We deal with hard deals, but it's because we're good at what we do, know how to figure it out. It's anything else. You got to find the loopholes. You got to find the leverage to get to the finish line. And if you don't want to put in the work, you're not going to be able to stay in the industry. That's why I've been in the industry for 20 years. And I've never fucked anybody. I've never done anything in that aspect. I always try and keep my word. And if I can't, then I tell them why I can't do it. And then tell them that we got to figure out a roadmap of how we will be able to do it. I'm very confident in my team and what I can do now. If I tell you, if my team says, hey, we're going to get it done, we're going to figure it out. And I'll put my team up against anybody else out there. Like I said, with Sammy, with Ashley, with Yana, dude, I don't care what anybody says. I'll win. That's the thing now. I'll win. I'll make it happen. And it just got to a point where for a little bit, I didn't believe it. And it was because I was scared that I was going to lose again. Because all it was a loss. All it was me I hit rock bottom. Was I going to stay down and fucking just let everybody walk all over me? Or was I going to fucking man up? I had a couple-month-old baby when it happened. I was 28 years old when all this shit happened. I said, fuck it. I got nothing to lose. It took me a while. I decided to get up off the ground early on. Don't get me wrong. But it still took me a while to get back my confidence and get back my head and realize at the end of the day, no one's better than me. But I don't wish it on anybody. There's things like I talk, like when I talk to younger generations when I'm doing stuff, like I tell them sometimes I wish I had someone, because I'm very open with our clientele. I'm straight up. If I think they're doing something that isn't for their best interest, I fucking say it. I wish I had someone when I was younger that was like that, doing what we do. So I don't say this often, but I'm proud of what I've accomplished. And I don't say it enough. I don't give myself the benefit of my wins enough. And I think that's one thing I'm learning with my new mentor and my new coach is it doesn't matter how small the win is, you still got to give yourself the time to understand you how to win, right? I'm always been the person that doesn't like, oh, yeah, I got this done. That don't matter anymore. Just keep going. Now I look at it and I at least let it sink in a little. And I could say I'm proud of it. I never used to say that. But I'm proud of my team. I'm proud of what we've accomplished the last 6-7 months to get where we're at. I'm proud of myself making decisions I had to make to put myself in this position. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'm excited with what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. Yeah.
Crazy. I've had some of those hard times when you get slapped so hard, and the minute you're slapping, you're laying there in the dirt, you're like, I'm getting the fuck up. You're just not sure when your head's going to quit spinning.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah.
How does a person control it? Because I've had, in my adult life, I've had 2 of those times.
It's crazy.
It took years for my head to quit spinning. I always knew I was going to get up.
So
I had no idea when I could take a step forward because my head was just spinning, dude.
I'll be straight up with you. With the decision I had to make towards the end of last year, beginning of this year, I had a moment where I was like, you know what? I'm fucking done with this. I'm gonna close shop down. I'm gonna XYZ. I'm done. Kind of, in all retrospect, kind of giving up. Be honest, giving up. I had a moment. I never have anxiety attacks. I've never had an anxiety attack. I've never had any of that. Bro, I had an anxiety attack in December where I was here in my office and all of a sudden, like, I lost it. I lost it. I was just like, and then the one thing that helped me get my head straight in all reality was my daughter. The reason being was, what type of example would I be if I fucking packed up and said, fuck it, I'm done? I would be teaching her I would be a hypocrite because I would be teaching her what I've told her she should never do. The second time my daughter saved me. Very easily said. I think she's the one who's really helped me. That when my head spinning, I sit down and I've had to think about things. I have to be that example. I got to learn and it makes it a lot easier now to know that I need to take that step forward as that example for her. Because if I quit or I do different than what I've been preaching to her, I'm a fucking hypocrite like everybody else. I'm not going to do that.
Dude, I love that because I've had that bitch slap twice and it takes years to come back from.
It's not easy.
Both times. I love my wife to death. She's amazing. But it hasn't been her that saved me. She gave me the grace to have the room to be in that fucking shitty, dark place and not leave me. And so I will be forever grateful. The first time, what saved me was my boys for years, literally years, almost 4 years, about 2 solid years. I walked around with my old,
With a zombie.
with my, I didn't go zombie, dude. Like what pulled me out was, I was zombie for a minute, but what pulled me out was this physical manifestation of how much I wanted for my boys. And what I had in my pocket for 2 years was my oldest boy's binky, like his little sucker thing from when he was in the NICU. Right?
Say that again?
So what I had for 2 years, literally in my pocket every day, thing would get so nasty. And we'd throw it in the dishwasher and sanitize it. But was his binky from when, or like the sucker thing they have.
Yeah.
And
we call it a tete. You're talking about the sucker.
It was as big as his whole head, but it's the one he had when he was in the NICU, when he was first born. I just had that in my pocket. And every day I'd like show up and shit would get deep. My head would start spinning again. And I'd just put my hand in my pocket and I'd feel that. And I've got a thing to do. I've got a thing to do. And then after that, dude, my second kid, I walked around for years with his binky from when he was in the NICU in my pocket.
It's crazy how those little things.
Dude, the second time shit hit the fan, I literally walked around with pictures of my boys in my pocket, not in my wallet, literally pictures of my boys. I would go and hit up Walmart because it was cheap, right? And I would get 10 or 15 prints of this same 1x2 picture of both of them. And I'd have that cut up. And every time I wore one out in my pocket,
you had another.
I had to pull it out and it went through the washer or something. I had another one for fucking years. I still to this day on my main computer have pictures of those 2 boys right there. I can't afford to be a piece of shit.
Yeah.
I have to show up for them, even if I don't feel like I can show up for me.
And and when you're going through it, it's fucking hard, right? Dude, you just. But it's crazy that how did you feel when you got out of it? Because when I got out of it, it was just like a fog lifted off of me. Because I felt like I was walking in a fog. You know what I'm saying?
Dude, it was a fog. It was also physical. That first time, I had literal legions, hundreds of legions lining the inside of my mouth and throat for months, for almost a year. I couldn't swallow. I couldn't eat. And yeah, it was like this mental fog lifted. All of a sudden, just all these physical ailments just went away. They literally just went away. But they didn't go away, Fabian. They didn't go away while I was doing the work. I had to do it fucking anyways. My throat hurts. I've got hundreds of legions inside of it. My brain's covered in fog. I'm depressed. I feel like always the dark hands of the goddamn devil are just hovering over me for a fucking year. But for 365 days, I'm going to show the fuck up and do it. I'm going to show the fuck up and do it. And even if I don't see the result, I'll do the action. And all of a sudden it's, like the fog lifted. The legions went away. The other medical problems went, and the financial problems went away. And but I had to do the things that were going to get me there in the first place for an extended period of time without any physical sign of the result before.
Did you feel that? Did you feel like I did? I felt like I was fucking Wile E. Coyote on the top of a fucking hill with a big ass boulder and a stick. And I'm fucking, and I've been building and still this motherfucker's about to go. It's about
like
to go.
Roadrunner, but you're never going to get it.
And then all of a sudden you get, I'm a big believer that when you're leveling up, that you're going to get tested before or during that level. And you're not going to get tested like in an easy way. You're going to get tested because what you're leveling up to is going to be so much bigger than where you're at, that if you can't get past this test, you're not ready to be in that level up. And I've felt, there's been times where I've had that, where I failed on a level up. I had to go back, and it just wasn't like, again, what my grandpa used to tell me, what happens for a reason. You weren't ready yet. You needed to go back. You need to redevelop something or other, get better at something to get to that next level. So when I was going through that, it was weird because not only that, but I felt like I was trying to level up or do this or that, and it just wasn't working. But I felt like I was right when I got to that point where it was right when the fog was going to just go. I felt like I was on the hill, like Wile E. Coyote with the fucking big ass boulder and the little stick, and I was just trying to and I was up there for a little bit, for a while. And there was another moment where it was like, should I just stop? Should I just go back and figure something else out? And then when I would tell myself no, it was like, that's what happened. I tell myself, I've been all in. I'm not going to let other people dictate or determine what the fuck I'm doing. And then all of a sudden, that's when I got out of it. And knowing that I'm one of the best, knowing that I'm fucking good, knowing that I'm going to make a difference. I was like, fuck.
Dude, that's some heavy shit, some good heavy stuff. Good heavy stuff.
I appreciate that, man.
Dude,
appreciate it.
Are you down to keep going for a minute? I have a few more questions that I want to ask you that I think you could just change the world with.
Talk to me. You know, it's funny. I'm dialed down my drinking a lot, and it's just been more productive for me. Yeah. I've never had a drinking problem, but don't get me wrong. It's funny. People are like, I have to have a drink. Now, motherfucker, I actually like to have a drink.
Dude, that's where I'm at. Like, I don't drink. I'll drink on the weekends and whatever. And then I like to drink when I podcast. I just have a good time with it. But beyond that, I don't need to have a drink. I'm definitely more productive through the day when I don't. But I find I'm more productive in a podcast when I do. I ask questions like, so when did you get AIDS? Tell me about that. Were you pitching or were you catching? Nah, I like to do it when I podcast. So I start a little earlier in the day when I podcast. It's usually once a week maximum. But yeah, I agree. Most of the time I try and I got to earn it. I got to earn it this weekend. You know, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to hang out, but.
No, I hear you. I was like, I'm going to go get another one. I'm like, fuck it, I'm going to go have one with it.
Yeah, you might as well. I like to put mine, unless if you're out in places, you get it in the glasses and stuff. I like to put mine in these little mugs, these Yeti mugs, or this one's not even Yeti. Oh. I refuse to buy Yeti. I ain't dropping $50 on a fucking mug. This one's a Hydro Flask. Stanley's a good brand. $20, you got a good piece. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I'm sorry. Someone text me really quick. I'm being rude for a second, but I'm being done right now.
No, you can be rude. But while you're being not rude, I'm gonna tell you, you're a still ass motherfucker. Like a China doll in the corner,
bro.
Just not even blinking.
Being the youngest kid that used to get his ass kicked all the time, bro. I was the youngest one. Like growing up, my aunt used to take care of all of us, and there were 6 of us. No, I lie. There were 7 of us that were taken care of at my aunt's house. I was the youngest one. I used to get my ass beat. So I learned how to be very still and very quiet when need be.
Dude, it's creepy sometimes. Is this motherfucker going to blink and you're like,
yeah, you caught me earlier because my phone went off like 3-4 times and I was just making sure who it was. And I know you caught me earlier when I was looking down and I stopped because I saw you like, did I lose them?
So you never know. So, dude, so when I did the podcast with Ashley, dude, we were in the middle of a snowstorm here and she was in the middle of a tornado there. And so every 5 minutes, it was like, oh, did I lose you?
No. Yeah. Yeah. And she did. I love that girl. I'm going to say with everything, having her as a partner is a blessing. And that's where I'm so excited about like the core of what we built. Like we're all on the same wavelength. So it's so different. You know what I'm saying? And the crazy part is it's not about just one of us. It's about all of us together. And I think I've never really truly had that. I've always had like partners, but it's always been one-sided. You know what I'm saying? And now that I'm the one in the lead with the development of the company, I don't make decisions. Even though I can make a decision, I don't make the decision. Like I sit down with my team and I talk to them about everything. I'm like, hey, what's your guys' opinion? What do you guys think? Because for me, we're building this together. I need to have your input. And a lot of people don't like to work that. They just think their opinion and their decisions is the right way to go. And I've learned a lot of times where I think my decisions aren't always on track. Not to say in a bad way, but it's, sometimes you make a decision because you're upset or whatnot. So I have a lot of respect for that girl. I have a lot of respect for everybody that's on our team. And you got to see that a little bit during that podcast. She's a smart fucking girl, dude, and she's a firecracker.
Dude, we had a really good podcast together. I think we put together a good episode.
I'm hoping I can do the same.
Well, it's been a good time so far, dude. It's been a good time so far.
You said you had a couple more questions.
Yeah, dude.
I'm nervous to hear what they are, and I'm just like, hey, what are they?
Dude, if you lost a limb, if you became an amputee, what kind of kitchen appliance would you replace that hand with, or that foot, or that dick, or whatever?
What would I replace if I became a bad amputee?
Well, no, that wasn't the question.
Come on.
But for real, if you lost your dick, would it be a blender or?
I don't know. I don't know. You're asking these. Those are mushrooms.
No, dude. Those are. I've had 3 whiskeys.
Those are mushroom kind of calls. The question. I'm like, pop a cap and find what.
But it is like, what would you actually put there if you had to? Now that we're on the topic.
I wouldn't be able to answer that. I'd have to really sit down and have a couple more drinks and really think about that.
Sip, dude. Sip.
I got to be good. I'm heading to San Diego tonight.
Oh, okay. I'm not going to be a bad influence. No. So question number 1. If somehow, some way, and God forbid, my friend, God forbid, but if this was your last opportunity to have something documented and recorded that was published somewhere, your daughter was going to see it. And on your way to San Diego, God forbid something were to happen. I know, knock on wood, all the things. What things would you want to share with her that you haven't shared yet?
That's a little hard because I'm very not that it's hard, but I'm very straightforward with my daughter, right? And I tell my daughter every day I love her. I tell my daughter every day I'm proud of her. Every fucking day. I dropped her off at school today. I love you. I'm proud of you. Right? I've had conversations with my daughter that I'm not perfect. I tell my daughter that I've made mistakes. My daughter knows that I've smoked weed because I don't. She made a comment one day and I said I wasn't going to hide. She's at an age that there was a way to teach her something. But one thing I would always want her to, not so much that something I've never told her, because that's one thing I do believe I've been good at. I tell her what I really want to tell her. I don't hold back on that because I do feel I don't want to lose that opportunity that she actually hears it from my mouth when I'm right there with her. Right? It was like at her quinceañera when dancing with her. Told her, you're my everything. I'm proud of you. You're better than I am. So I like to share with her now instead of wait. But to say what I would want her to remember me telling her, or what I would want her to remember, is just a couple lessons that I've always taught her. Gives a fuck what anybody says. Question everything. And always truly be yourself. Never change for anybody. That doesn't work. And those are pretty much the base of everything for me to her. Because that's what I've always, from being able to teach her, those are what I've always said to her. Don't fucking let anybody say anything. People are always going to hate. People are always going to say something. They're always going to have an opinion. Doesn't fucking matter. Good, bad, or indifferent. And the funny thing is the people that are going to hate the most are the people that are closest to you, not the people that are away from you.
Yeah.
I've always told her, question fucking everything. Come up with your own opinions. Don't fucking go off of what people say. If someone tells you it's red, ask them why. I tell her that all the time. Tell her that if a teacher tells you something you don't like, you don't agree with or whatnot, ask why. You have every right to, even if you're if it's a teacher. And I tell her too, if you don't agree with something that I say, ask me why. Now I'm your father and I'm right, but ask me why. But then again, then the other thing is, don't ever change for anybody. If you can't make yourself happy, and I had to learn this the hard way. I was always trying to make everybody happy. Was the one person I never tried to make happy was me. And to go back to our conversation previously, that was probably one of the things that helped me get out of where I was getting at. I stopped fucking being a yes man to everybody and started saying yes to myself and no to everybody else. Now that I think about it. Because I was always trying to make everybody else happy. I never wanted to disappoint anybody. I didn't want to fucking be the person to give bad news or X, Y, Z, because I didn't want to be that person.
What's an example of saying yes to yourself? Is that like being in the shower and there you are, you're a little bit larger than normal because of the extra heat and you're like, yes, daddy.
No.
Or is it something else?
Would it be? You've been in the dark, right? You've been in your dark places.
I feel like Bane, dude.
Everything of that, right?
Bane talking to Batman. I was born in it.
Dude, you know what? You tell me if you know this feeling. You know what it is to be in that place where you look in the mirror, but you don't look in the mirror because you don't want to look at yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Right? The yes is looking in the mirror and saying, yes, I see who I am. Yes, I'm proud of who I am. Yes, I don't give a fuck what anybody else says about me. Like, those are the yeses that I had to come to. Those are the yeses that I mean to her. Like, you got to say yes to you first and stop glorifying everybody else, but realize what you're doing. That's one thing that my coach and mentor, Jeff Smith, has taught me a lot about. All right? Because we're emotional people. You're an emotional man like I am. We're a lot like each other. And getting into those dark places and everything like that has to do with a lot of our emotions. But a lot of our emotions is, here's one thing I will fucking say. You or no one could say anything to me that will hurt me more than what I would look in the mirror and say to myself. You could tell me I'm a piece of shit. You could tell me that I am like dirt, this, that, and the other. And it will not fucking bother me at all. But the minute I look at the mirror and I tell that to myself because I'm truly believing it, I'm done. And there was a long time that would happen. So I had to learn how to say yes to myself in the sense that, no, yes, I am a good person. Yes, I am fucking great at what I do. Stop praising fucking everybody else and looking at everybody and being like, and you know how it is to look at people in the same industry and knowing that they're not good at what they're doing, but they're doing better than me because they have more confidence in me for whatever reason than you should.
At what point, Fabian, did you look in the mirror? There you are, standing there naked, just fresh out the shower, and you're like, today I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm not going to beat myself up today for the sins I committed yesterday.
That was the hard part. Because I felt like, because of everything that happened, I felt like I was a failure. It's not that I was a failure. It was, I had a bad moment. I had a bad experience. Did I fail in what I was trying to accomplish? Yeah, but it doesn't mean I was a failure. There's a difference. You know when you're a failure? You give up. When you stop. When you no longer move forward. That's when you're a fucking failure. That's when you could honestly say, I'm a failure. But if you're continuously trying to move forward and you're going to do what you, like you said, you weren't a failure in any way or form because you told yourself day in and day out, it doesn't fucking goddamn matter. I'm gonna do something to move forward 365 days of the year. And it probably felt like mud. And it felt like you were fucking knees deep in shit. But you're not a failure because you didn't stop. The day you stop is the day you fail. And I think that was the part that made me, like, that's the part I really truly had to understand, was I wasn't a failure. I failed at a certain instance and a moment. But to say that I'm a complete failure was bullshit. That was the mind game. That was me being scared, not wanting to try again. Me not wanting to fall or not succeed.
Out of all the shitty lies you ever told a person, was that the shittiest lie you ever told? Was the one you told yourself?
Everything. The shittiest things I've ever done haven't been to anybody but myself. That's the fucking truth. I've lied to myself. I fucking hated myself. I fucking wanted to punch myself in the face. I'm the one who's...
Have you ever punched yourself in the face? I have.
I'm too pretty. I can't do that to myself.
I've never been that dude that was going to hit my own balls. That's some Comedy Central stuff. I'm not doing it, but
Don't get me wrong, dude. Like I said, like I was in an area at a moment where I didn't want to see my own reflection. I didn't want to, dude, just recently, last year or two, I'll take pictures. Bro, I didn't even want to see myself in pictures. The only time you ever saw me in pictures was with my daughter, because that's my pride and joy. But everything else, I don't want to fucking be in a picture. I don't want to fucking see myself. What the fuck for? Those are the moments and really what I felt. And I had to come to grips. You can't beat yourself up for the mistakes. It's a mistake. You learn from it. You evolve from it. You move forward from it. Now, if you keep making the same mistake and everything, I'd made the same mistake twice. Don't fucking get me wrong. But if you make it 3, 4, 5 times, you're a fucking idiot. Because you at that point, you're a masochist. You just want to continue with the fucking hurt. You know what I'm saying? I had made the same mistake twice. But after the second time, I'm like, whoa, bro. There's a common denominator here. It's you. You need to change. We need to figure this out. You know what I'm saying? Because at the same time, if you make the same mistake twice, you can't blame that other person or that other situation. Where it's coming from is internal and from you. And there's still nothing wrong with that. There's still nothing wrong with that. Sometimes it takes someone a little bit more to learn than others. Dude, and that's life. Too many, I want to say we have too many fucking gurus now. There's too many people that this, that, or the other, and they want to shine a light here, this. Bro, like, your best teacher is yourself. You got to learn who you are, what you're about, and realize what your movements are. And then at that point, you find someone that has had a little bit more experience than you that could help you evolve a little bit more, right? But if you don't know yourself, if you truly don't know yourself, your pros and your cons, because we all have pros and cons. If you don't know what your triggers, what your pros, what your cons are, like, you ain't gonna go nowhere. You could go to every fucking mastermind, and you could go to every fucking thing in the world and be a rock cheerleader, but you're never gonna get anything done because you don't know yourself. You're trying to be everybody else but yourself. That's why God made us all different. So no one's identical. Why does everybody want to try and be the same? That's the other thing my grandfather always told me. Don't try to be anybody else or want to be like anybody. You want to emulate someone in the sense that they're successful or like what they do and learn from them. That's one thing. But at the end of the day, like I said, and telling my daughter, fucking be yourself. You don't want to be anybody else. That's the beauty of life. I know I'm different. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea. And I've gotten to the point where I don't give a fuck. I'm a totally different person than I am in my office than I'm at home. When I'm at home, dude, I fuck with my grandparents. I've always been this way. I fuck with everybody. Dude, if I told you the way I say shit to my grandparents, you'd be like, are you serious? I call my mom by her first name because I know it pisses her off. Let's just put it down. That's me. I call my mom Martha because I know she doesn't like it. And I've been doing that since I was a kid. As soon as I figured out my mom didn't like me calling her by her first name, it never was mom anymore. It was Martha. Oh, dude. You know what it is? Till I'm 43 years old, I still get, I'm your fucking mom. I'm not Martha. I love it. Because that's my relationship with her. It's like, that's just my jam. That's me. You know?
Yeah. So, dude, 10, 15 years down the road, right? There you are. Now you're Papa Fabian. Your grandfather. You're taking your own grandkids to school. What conversations do you want to have in the truck on the way to school?
Be the same, dude. The same way.
And better question. What questions or what wisdom do you hope they would look for from you on the way to school?
I first would hope that in that time frame, what I build and the success will speak for itself in a certain way or form, right? And it's not all about success, but them seeing that, hey, fuck, Abuelo was able to build this, right? Conversation-wise and stuff like that, honestly, I hope I'll be able to have the conversations I have. I hope that they could come to me and ask the questions they truly want answered and know that I'm going to... Dude, my grandpa never fucking batted an eye when I asked him a question. Motherfucker laid it out. He never sugarcoated anything. He never made it like, if I asked the question, the one thing it was, do you want the real answer or do you want to go ask someone else the question? And if I'm going to ask the question, I want the real answer. And that's the type of relationship I want with my kids. I will do like anybody else, everything and everything for them, right? I'm going to do exactly what my parents did to me and spoil the shit out of them so my daughter gets pissed the hell off. Okay? But at the same time, the conversations we're going to have, they'll be real. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything because I was never raised that way, dude. Being around my grandfather and his friends and everything, the conversations I heard, they were all real. They never sugarcoated anything around me, and I thank them for that. Thank them. They would talk about the shit that happened with them in Cuba and all that kind of stuff. We have family members in jail for 25 years. We have family members killed from Che Guevara, which everybody thinks is this fucking great revolutionist and shit like that. I think my big thing is always being straight up, real. I want to be real with my grandkids. I just want to be honest. Did you fail? Sure. Yes, I failed. Did you do things that you were proud of? You know what? Yes, there was moments things happened that I did things that I'm not proud of. Would you change anything? No, I wouldn't fucking change anything. A lot of people look back and they want to change things because if they change something, it would change them and put them in another different position. I look back. I used to look back, and be like, man, if I would have done this differently, I'd probably be in a different position. You know what? Fuck. If it was meant for me to be in that position at this moment, I would have already done it in that. And I learned from it, and I'm a better human being for it. And I'm not going to question it. Now I got to do what I got to do to get the next level.
So you know how there's a lot of what your daughter's going through and the conversations you have with her, that's similar to you coming up. And you can just hit the nail on the head because shit doesn't change. But there's also some shit she's dealing with that you never had to deal with because the world's changing.
Yeah.
What conversations, if you had a crystal ball, what kind of shit do you think you're gonna, like the shit you didn't have to deal with, but you got to find a way to be the wise one? What do you think your grandkids are going to ask you that you didn't have to deal with, but somehow you need to figure out how to help them?
Dude, honestly, my opinion is it's going to be more socialized than anything. I don't think kids nowadays know how to socialize. I don't think they know how to interact. I tell my daughter all the time, it seems like you guys get into a group of friends, but then another group, like you have friends from somewhere else and then they don't know how to interact. I think it's all social now. I think the biggest issue with kids is they don't know how to interact. They don't know how to communicate. Honestly. I tell my daughter that all the time. I think it's just going to get worse with social media and technology. Like, how old are your kids?
7 and 9.
All right. I got a 15. Her friends walk into, or my nieces and nephews that are around the same age, walk into my house. I collect selfies. You want to know why? There's no reason for you to be on your cell phone when you have everybody here that you can communicate with and so on and so forth. Fucking talk. I think that's one of the biggest things with technology. Like, they could be in front of each other, but they'll be like this. And vice versa. And then all of a sudden, and then back to that. I think it's a huge communication thing. They don't know how to interact anymore. And then when they do, they get offended because something was said that wasn't really meant to be said and so on and so forth. I think when it comes down to it, I'm going to be that grandfather and all that fucking rile shit up.
Maybe for the problems you're foreseeing, maybe the answer is what we talked about in the very beginning of this whole conversation, right? Put the phones away. Let's have fucking dinner together. Whether you're from my family or not, like let's break bread. Let's just break bread.
I think a lot of that, it has to do with, I think everything starts at home, to be fucking very honest with you, right? I'm a big believer that if my parents let me fuck around and do whatever the fuck I wanted, I probably would have went out in life and just did whatever the fuck I really wanted and not have any respect for anybody, you know? Knowing the fact that if I would have fucked up and came home and my parents would have gotten a phone call from someone, my dad would have fucking whooped my ass. And here's the crazy part. There's a difference between discipline and there's a difference between abuse, okay? I got my ass whooped when I was a kid. But the funny thing is, as a grown-up, I've sat down and been like, I got my ass kicked this time. Like, I remember when I got my ass kicked. I got my ass kicked for this. I got my ass kicked for this. Damn, my dad was pissed this day because of this. But again, I go back and I think the common denominator to all that getting my ass kicked was me being a fucking idiot. I deserved every single one of those ass whippings. And I didn't get beat, but I got spanked or I got punished. Parents, like, I tell my daughter, dude, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not your friend. I'm your dad. I'm here to make you a better human being, a better person than myself. And if that means I got to put you on check, like, you fucking know I'm going to do it. That's it. And if you don't like it, until you're 18 and you can go off and pay your own shit, you still got to live on my rules. Thank God. I'm blessed with my daughter. She's nothing like me. And she's a lot like me, but she's not. It's weird. My daughter's very studious. My daughter, like, she knows. She's very respectful. I was always very respectful too. It was funny. I'd go out somewhere. My parents would pick me up, and they'd be like, "Man, he's such a respectful kid. This, that, or the other." My dad be like, "Are you fucking talking about my kid?" Like, I knew that I would. Like, my thing was, I never wanted to embarrass my parents. I never wanted someone coming to my parents and saying, "You have a bad kid."
Dude, my boys' school teachers, my youngest is all me, dude. He's his school teacher though is like, man, he's the most well-spoken, sweet, and we're like, that little fucking Sour Patch. This morning we're sitting at the dinner table. This morning at the dinner table, or at the table, I guess it was breakfast table at that point, but this kid will go in his room and practice his dad words. He's not going to say them now because we taught him about time and a place, but when he's a dad, right? So this morning, he looks at me, literally this morning, Fabian, he's like, how do I start saying them in Spanish? Because there are some people that don't speak English.
Time to hit me up. I got him.
Dude, I hooked them up. I hooked them up. Bro, I spent a couple years in Florida. Like, I grew up in Phoenix and Southwest, and I've got the bad words.
Dude,
everything else in between. Pero
it's funny because my daughter, I'm a sailor. I really don't like around my daughter. Like, you could say I'm a bad parent for certain aspects or whatnot, but I feel like I've raised a pretty good kid. And I like, dude, so it's funny because she'll be like, "Dad," I'm like, "What the fuck's wrong with your friends?" Like, I really talk to her. Like, I'm like,
that's it.
I like, what the fuck?
Told my wife this morning, bro. I literally told my wife this morning. The first time I got sent home from school for saying swear words, I was in first grade. We had just moved from Phoenix to Utah, and I had just learned the F word, right? And my mom went into the office, and they're like, "We don't need your kind here," in small town Utah. "We don't need your big city kind here," and bringing all your. And my mother was like, "Excuse me, my kid had to move here to learn that word." I still remember the kid that taught it to me, Chris Whiting, little.
Dude, I did. You know what's funny is that you remember that shit. You want to know? Here's my first memory of fucking saying a swear word. My brother taught me how to say shit. I don't even fucking know how old I was. We were at a family party, and my brother tells me, I didn't know what fucking it meant. I was a little kid. Like, you got to remember, I'm the youngest one of fucking 8 of us growing up together. My brother tells me, "Hey, go tell dad shit." Shit? Go tell dad shit. I walk up to my dad in front of everybody at this party. Shit. Bro, I got backhanded in front of everybody. And my dad's, "You don't see that, this, that, and the other." And I turn around and look at my brother. I'm fucking crying. And I look at my brother and I'm like, and my brother was always like the good one. I was the black sheep. So it was like, "Oh, he didn't tell you to say that." "Oh, dude, I got my ass kicked." Not me, but I got backhanded.
So
I'll never forget that.
This is like mid-90s shit. There was this insult that went around that was, I don't even remember how it came up. It was like, "You freaking fart of America. You freaking fart of America." And so I'm at school, and we had just moved to Utah, and I'd said something, and this kid, Chris, was like, "Fuck means the same thing as frick." And so, like, literally the next day, we're on the basketball court, and I'm trying to yell at this kid that I thought was my friend David, and he wouldn't listen. I was like, "Bro, get over here and fucking play." And I was like, "David, you fucking fart of America." And this teacher heard me, Miss Page. Dude, I remember this shit. And she was like, "Excuse me?" Around me, all these kids are like, "You frickin' fart." And it means the same shit. But that's one of the things we're teaching our boys. It's not even the word. Y'all are going to say it. 90% of this population is going to say it.
It's
about a time
and a place. And the funny thing is that at an early age, they're just going to say it. They don't know the full meaning, so it doesn't really mean shit.
For real. So like my boy's in there in his bedroom practicing his dad words. He's in there. The first dad word he wanted to practice, which by the way,
you got to get him a shirt that says, dude, I know my dad. Dude, literally, you got to get him something.
I might make him wear a shirt. We have this thing. We make all sorts of shirts, but literally it wasn't even a dad word. It was a mom word actually, because dad I don't ever say bullshit. I just say that's fucking shit. But my wife is always bullshit. So it was a dad word, but he was in his room, dude. Shit you not. He's in his room practicing his dad words, which was really a mom word. And he's in there. And his first one he was practicing was bullshit. And he's bullshit. And door's shut. I can't see him, but I imagine this because I can hear him and he's bullshit. 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 Daddy bullshit.
That
like
is
just all the ways to implement the bullshit, dude. And I was like, oh God, Jameson. Oh, I love you, kid.
All right. You named him Jameson.
That was long before I started drinking Jameson. I get asked that so often. So I've been on this Jameson whiskey kick, dude, for a good 3 or 4 years. But when he was born, I was like hardcore. If it wasn't Maker's Mark 46, not even like it had to be Maker's Mark 46 or Woodford Reserve, I wouldn't drink it.
What's your favorite whiskey now?
Right now, it depends. Like if it's for a daily drinker, Jameson, and more than anything, like the flavors and even keel, but more than anything, I know my limit. I'm so comfortable with it. I can have a sip, or maybe you ought to leave that alone. Go get a glass of milk, daddy. Like it's just familiar. But if we're talking like straight, dude, probably Balvenie Doublewood.
Which one?
Balvenie, or
I've never heard of that one.
I really like Woodford too. I know a lot of them like Bullet, and Woodford's a cheap bourbon. Dude, Woodford is probably one of the most underrated bourbons out there. I love it.
You want to hear? All right, you're gonna.
I've got some expensive bourbons. Woodford is as good as most of them.
All right, so you're gonna think I'm a cheap motherfucker. There is.
Are you about to draw some Black Velvet?
No, dude. Jethro T Boots. Have you ever heard of them?
Heard of. I haven't ever had.
I'm going to tell you right now. Everybody talks about this, that, or the other. Jethro T Boots is a $10 bottle. And I'm like, I got no shame.
Everybody has their $10 bottle they like. Trust me.
I got no shame. Dude, it's actually pretty damn fucking good.
Dude, everybody's got their 10. Not everything needs to be a freaking Johnny Walker Black Label.
But dude, I love Blands. Don't get me wrong, but it's to the point to get a bottle of Blands to pay $300 motherfucking dollars. Why do I need it fucking, like, why? Right. It doesn't make sense to me, right? But it's funny because my girlfriend would be like, Jethro T Boots, like this, that, and I'm like, yeah, just give me the bottle. You know?
Dude, so it's funny you bring that up. So I brought up Black Velvet, right? I remember, dude, this was years ago. My younger brother, Kale, he was like, oh yeah, I'm a Black Velvet guy. And I was like, that cheap shit, fuck you. And this was like me thinking back to my early days, 14 years old, and I'm drinking the Popov vodka. But you can get 44 ounces for $4.
Squeeze that bottle, bitch.
Dude, the Popov.
I know exactly what you mean.
A Rockstar energy drink. And I'm like, dude, but the Black Velvet was right next to the Popov. And so my brother Kale's like, oh yeah, dude, I'm just loving this stuff. And by the way, Kale's a badass. I love this kid. But I was down, literally, this was just like a month or two ago. I was down speaking at the Farmers Insurance Mega Conference in Scottsdale, Arizona. And I stayed with my buddy Peter. And Peter's got good flavors. Like this dude and I, we drink whiskey together. And we're there, he's, hey, you want a drink? And I was like, yeah. And he busts out the Black Velvet. And I didn't say anything because I'm being polite. You're in somebody's house. That's one of the things I was raised to be like, you don't tell, I have a peanut allergy. Eat the fucking peanuts. You have a hard time breathing afterwards. That's your fucking problem. Somebody serves you food. You're in their house. You fucking
Yeah.
right? So he
You don't
just pulls out
disrespect. You don't disrespect someone hospital. You don't.
yeah,
They're giving you what they care.
yeah, and like to Peter's credit, Peter drinks some good fucking whiskey and bourbons, dude. He does, but he pulls out the black velvet, and I'm like, oh shit, kale, black velvet, Popov. But I didn't
This
say
is the holiday.
and so it's some black velvet, some diet on top, and whatever. And we're sitting out there, and I'm just like, my God, this is smooth. You want to know what I bought just literally 2 weeks ago?
Black velvet.
I bought like a fucking 44 ounce of black velvet. I'm like, and dude, this shit's like freaking $20 for a freaking handle. It's $20 for a handle. And so I pour it. I put diet on top. I'm like, maybe I was just in a good mood. No, my point is everybody's got their cheap drink.
Yeah. Everybody thinks that a label, a brand, or whatnot. No. At the end of the day,
I'm so grateful for Peter to being cheap that night, because it's like, man, Jameson's not cheap. It's not expensive, but it ain't cheap.
I'm not gonna lie.
It's $70, $100, depending on.
I'm gonna say, thank God, I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'll try Jethro, dude. It's my go-to. Don't get me wrong, I got expensive bottles of. I got Wellers, I got shit like that, but it's.
Dude, now we're getting into territory. What's that cheap Walmart cigarette brand? The Indian cigarette brand?
American?
Yeah.
American? Dude, something like that.
Dude, it's
a baby blue box with the headdress.
It's the headdress. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Now we're talking that kind of shit. Like, we're not even talking like some Camel menthols at this point.
I'm not a cigarette smoker. It is a cigar smoker. But don't get me wrong,
I like cigars.
I've had my Swisher Sweets. I've had my Swisher Sweets.
I never could do the Swishers. I haven't smoked a cigarette, dude, in a decade and a half, in 15 years. But to this day, somebody lights up a Marlboro Red or a Marlboro 100 from a distance, dude, I just get horny. I'm like, dude, it smells so good to me. I'm just like, oh. Best part of butt Folgers. I want that. Man.
I've never been a cigarette guy. But the funny part, though, is the way you say that. When I smell someone smoking a cigar, I'm like, yeah, I look for it right away.
Dude, cigars, I'm a cheap cigar kind of guy. I've only had a Cuban once, and it was early in my cigar days. I feel like
you didn't get one for me? Because the day you met me,
I had a box. No, dude, I haven't. But I will tell you this. My favorite run-of-the-mill American grade, and it's a cheap fucking cigar. We're talking like $10 for this thing's batting 12 inches long. Okay? We're talking about some ghetto dick here. The Havana Honey.
I've heard of those.
Oh shit, dude.
You're talking about cigar aficionado. Fucking
dude, the Havana Honey. I'm like, oh God. That's my cheap cigar right there. We're talking $10 for 12 thick inches. This thing has an undervein on it, Fabian. Like, it comes in thick. I never feel more suspect than I do having one of those. But the Havana Honey, oh my God.
It's funny when it comes to shit like that. Like, Cubans are the creme of the creme when it comes to cigars.
I didn't like it when I had it, but I was also 19. Bro, I'm
surprised that you didn't get any from me, because literally, when I used to go to all those events, I used to carry a box with me, and I knew people smoked. I would give them out.
Dude, we need to.
We got to send me your address. I got to send you.
We need to link up, dude. I'll put on
do that too.
Jacket and everything, so Camille's not mad at me.
But everybody's Cuban cigars. My favorite cigars are Dominican. Like, it's a high grade Dominican. Like, my favorite cigar is a high grade Dominican.
Dude, which is Dominican is so underrated for so many things.
Right. I love open sections. But check this out and look this up. There is a boutique brand now out there. He's been around for fucking ages, but he's been getting a little bit more notoriety lately. But he's been around for quite a bit. The guy's name, it's called Padilla Cigars. This guy makes the closest thing. His blends are the closest things to Cubans that I know. They're fucking delicious. And you could get, a bundle of these cigars for $50.
Bro, one of my favorite, like, not drunk, but that point where it's like healthy buzz.
Yeah.
But it's a happy buzz. It doesn't just have to be an alcohol buzz. Like that nicotine buzz comes in too. I think one of my favorite buzzes I've ever had, Dominican Republic, and I'm not 3 sheets to the wind, but I'm like 2.5 sheets to the wind. And it's Dominican cigars and Mama Juana. Also, I had a boner, dude. I was just triumphant and ready to breed.
This is what I'm going to do.
I was ready to breed. I was ready to put seed somewhere, dude.
Next time we're together, I'm going to have 2 things for us. I'm going to have Cuban cigars, and then I'm going to figure out how to get a bottle of what we call chipatre. All right? So chipatre is homemade booze, Cuban booze. Okay? It's like fucking Everclear.
Homemade like toilet booze or moonshine?
It's homemade Everclear. It's like rum Everclear. Like it's homemade.
So we're talking like moonshine, but
it's moonshine
side instead of like corn mash side.
It's moonshine.
I do moonshine. I love moonshine.
On the rum,
we can go there.
On the rum side, but dude, it's actually with cigars. It's actually not fucking bad.
Dude, I'm all about it. I'm a moonshine fan. I literally, one of my buddies, we do this event called Hell Week, where people give me a bunch of money to come and work in my office for a week. But they don't come and work for me or anything. I take my whole team, all my resources and everything, a whole week focused on them. But yeah, I've got this buddy down in Appalachia. He's in West Virginia, like skinwalkers, rakes, all the scary shit of the night out there, calling out your name in the woods. And you're like, I ain't going in there. That's where the good moonshine is. The like north of Everclear, we're talking like 150, 200% proof. He brought me a bottle, dude. And oh my God, it's good. You don't sit there and sip it. You just have it and then hate yourself for a minute. And then you love yourself. You find Jesus.
So it's funny. My grandpa used to do like his own wine in the garage, him and his friends. So when I was younger, I used to go in and fucking got without anybody knowing, he used to have it in lambskins, like old Spaniard style. So I had to go in there. Yeah.
So we're clear. Lambskin is a brand of condom. Are we? No, this is not the same?
No.
You're not drinking it out of a condom.
It was a leather. It was like a leather. Like it looked like a leather. Okay. And they put wine in there. They would age their wine in it.
Bro, you're making me want to come down to I never want to go to California for any reason ever. Bro, I want to come hang out.
So here's the thing. I'll promise you this. You tell me when you're going to come out. And we'll do 2 things. One, I'll roast a pig, Cuban style, so that you could have that experience. And I love doing that experience with people I care about and enjoy being around, because we'd be one, sitting around playing dominoes, smoking cigars and drinking while we're watching the pig roast. So that gives us a reason to start drinking early and have fun, right? 2, we'll do whatever you want out here and just have a good time. And you have a place.
Can I bring the whole fam?
Absolutely.
100%. My wife and my boys are always down for Disneyland. I hate it.
We'll do it all.
I don't do Disneyland, dude. I literally pay to have her mom and her friends go with her and stuff. I hate Disneyland.
The only way I would do Disneyland back in the day was with an edible. We used to have passes, and the only way I could do it was by eating an edible, so I wouldn't fucking get annoyed by it.
I still won't. I can't do it. I don't fucking care. But they want to come down. Cool. We'll come down. I'll have her mom and her friends and stuff come down. I'll pay for them to go hit the park and everything. But then we can stay a couple extra days. Come visit you guys.
Let's do it. You're more than welcome, dude. You got family out here, dude. You tell me when and where, we'll do it. And it's crazy. They sell alcohol at Disneyland now. You don't have to do it.
You don't have to go sober. Dude, you've got family up here in Idaho. You want to come freeze your nuts off? Get up here.
I like the cold weather, dude, to be honest with you.
You want to get attacked by a bear? Literally, our last camp out, we weren't even in West Yellowstone. We're really close to Yellowstone. We weren't even there. We were in Island Park. Our last camp out just a few weeks ago. Boys are in the camper. Camille's in the camper. Everything's quieting down. I'm sitting out by the fire having a drink. The fucking wolves start going off, dude.
Mm.
And so I pop the flashlight up and I'm like, how far out are they? Right? Pop the flashlight up and big gray one right there, probably not even 30 to 50 feet away. And then a big black one comes across the other way. And I was like, I'm going to go in, pop a bag of popcorn, the whole 9 yards. So you want that experience, come on up. But
I love camping.
I'm going to plan it, come down.
I think we got to do this. I think we got to plan a trip to go vice versa. You come out here, we'll do what we do out here. I'll go out there, we'll do what you do out there.
Dude, let's do it.
I'm 100% game, dude. I'm all about experiencing everything. We'll come out here, have the kids be able to go to Disneyland and stuff. Dude, there's a lot of shit to do out here. Depending on what period, like what time of the year, we'll save more. If you come down towards like winter, fall. Here's the thing about California. As big as a shit show it is, okay?
There's so many good things, dude. And I know so many good people there.
I live 15 minutes away from downtown LA. My office is about 30 minutes away from my house. I drive every day because I love being in Long Beach. But from my house, I'm 30 minutes away from the ocean. I'm an hour and 15 minutes from the mountains. I'm about 2-3 hours away from the desert. I had everything. You want to go off-roading? We can go off-roading. You want to go to the mountains and go snowboarding and skiing? We can do that. You want to hit the beach? We could do that. That's the thing that I love about California. I'm smack in the middle of it all.
I need to quit being a bitch and get down. I've got like some of the people that are closest to me in my life. I've got people in Bakersfield, which is obviously a little out there. I've got folks in Carlsbad, San Diego, Newport, Temecula, Anaheim. We've got so many people all over.
You got Long Beach, baby. Come on out.
I got Long Beach, dude.
Come on out, dude. Like I said, let's make it happen. Like, I would love to go out there, visit you, and come out here with the boys and the family. You're more than welcome. We'll figure it out.
Dude.
We'll put it together. We'll put a plan together and make it fun for them.
Let's do it. Dude, let's end this thing. Last question. If the shit did hit the fan tomorrow and your epitaph was in the newspaper.
And if I what?
Your epitaph, your obituary, what would you want people to remember you by? What would you want to be written in there?
That's all hard. Because at the end of the day, I only want to be remembered by the people that truly love me. I don't need anybody else to remember me, to be honest. That's not one of my things. I want people to who really love me to be the ones who remember me. I don't need any of the other. I have something that I will be said and that I'm truly doing. My last will and testament will say that if they don't have a party instead of a funeral, no one gets shit. My grandfather always told me one thing. There's no reason to cry about someone when they're not around, when you could have enjoyed them when they were around. If you didn't cry about me when I was around, why are you going to cry? I'm known to having fun. I'm known to having a good time. I'm about being free and having a great time. So the day I pass, why are you going to mourn me? I want a party. What do I want to be remembered by? Being honest, being loving, being true, being a man. Other than that, and like I said, by the people I love, not by anybody else. It is what it is. But if they truly love me, that's what I want to be. And if they do really want to remember me, fucking have a big ass party. At the end of the day, that's the way I live my life. That's the way I wanted it. Don't mourn me. Fucking enjoy the way I would want to be enjoyed. Band, DJ, fucking roast a pig, smoke cigars, and have fucking a lot of bourbon. That's the way I want to be honored. I don't want to be mourned. There's no reason to be mourned. At that point in time, at that point of your life, you're going to a better place, right? Whatever religion, whatever anything, higher power, higher being, whatever it is, whatever your beliefs are. My thing is, don't mourn me. I don't need to be mourned. I'm going to a different era, different place. I don't need to be mourned. Remember me the way I was. That's my biggest thing. And that's why I say I don't need anybody that didn't love me or I love to. I just want the people that I truly love. Like I said, that I was loving, that I was truthful, that I was inspiring, that I made a difference for them.
That's badass, dude. I don't think we could end it better than that.
I appreciate it, man. I hope I held up to what you've done. I know what you're putting in the content you're putting out there and everything. So I hope I've held up to that for you.
You always do, man. Thanks so much for tuning into the A2C podcast today. I appreciate you joining me on this unfiltered journey into the minds of remarkable people. I hope you enjoyed the candid conversations, the authenticity, and the insights shared. Remember, this is an ad-free podcast, so your support in sharing this with others, well, it means the world to me. If you want to stay connected with me and the podcast and be the first to know about our upcoming guests and episodes, follow me, the podcast, whatever, on social media, A2C Podcast on Facebook, and we'll get our Instagram and everything else set up. At cporter389 is my own personal stuff on all platforms. Your feedback, your ideas, they're invaluable to me. Drop me a message, drop the podcast a message, share your thoughts, let me know who you'd like to hear from next. Together, we're on this mission to explore all the facts of success and life, but be candid as hell about it. So I appreciate you. Come find me, come follow me, and let's do some awesome things together. Appreciate y'all.